Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 130 for the week of October 28th, 2013. It's almost Halloween. Happy almost Halloween, everyone. I'm Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sigler.
Bryce Larsen. Say your name.
Oh, I didn't know we were going... Bryce Larsen.
There you go.
Toby.
And Charlie.
And special guest back once again.
Brandon.
Hello, Brandon.
What is up?
You may remember him from episode 85, as we looked up. And
You have to go back and listen for my origin.
Yeah.
Get it here.
Yeah, we just go on Wikipedia, look it up. You know, it's easier to deal with that way. You don't have to worry about that. Brandon's joining us once again. Customer of the store and current student still.
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
Never ends, huh?
Nope.
Well, we got some comic book stuff to talk to you about this week, including Toby's Comic Conspiracy Book Club of the Month pick, which was Jim Henson's Tale of Sand.
Or AKA a drug trip.
Was it like Sand and Fog? Isn't that like a movie? Oh, we'll get to that.
Well, maybe the sand is and the fog is also. Maybe you put the two movies
Sounds like
together.
a bar in England.
I'm actually just thinking, Ryan's mind is getting all over the place jumbled today.
You know why,
Because
right?
the Red Sox game's on.
Red Sox are
Bizarro Ryan is in town this week.
3-1, bottom of the 7th. Series tied 2-2 against Cardinals. So
if
it's
you
like
want to watch it,
my mind's in St. Louis right now.
If you want to watch it, I can take over again.
No, it's fine. No one wants that. All right. We have some random stuff to talk about this week. I'll start with some questions on the Twitters. This is from Brock's good friend Mitchell.
Hey, Mitch.
Who says, what are some good horror comics to read? And that's a good question based around the Thanksgiving. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's almost Thanksgiving. Halloween that is approaching.
I got a good one. The Punisher by Greg Rucka, where the Punisher doesn't even talk. He's just a boogeyman and just shoots you down.
That is scary. I would say that's a good horror book. Anyone jump with some horror books?
Yeah.
I've not
even
got far enough.
I have trouble classifying Lock and Key as horror, even though I understand that's the closest classification you could get, but...
Yeah, it's a horror book, especially the last, whatever it was called, Omega Alpha, whatever. The last one that just finished, it was pretty gory and it was pretty spooky.
Well, there's one issue left.
Omega, they're doing Omega, right?
Of the whole series, yeah. So
yeah, but they're coming back. They already announced that they're going to do more stuff with it. This is just like the first overall run.
Oh, really?
I heard, yeah, that's what I heard. Joe Hill said that they're going to do more stuff after this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought this was the end of it. So,
yeah. So did I.
I recommend Scott Snyder's Severed.
Ooh.
Yeah, I never got a chance to read that. You like that, though, huh?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else? He wasn't the only writer on that. He storyboarded it, and someone else.
He did it. He did it with somebody else. I can't remember. I think it was a female.
Whoever did the art, though, that was a Japanese guy. I forgot what it was. Really good.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Although not traditional horror, I would be remiss to not.
Speedball comic.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, actually, someone's on the mic. Hey, what do you know? I think we may have missed someone. That may have been Bryce. You may not have heard Bryce actually introduce himself.
Introduce yourself again, Bryce.
Cameo appearance.
Say that again, Bryce. Say hello. Are you microphone number 6?
Ryan, you know better than me.
Oh, you're on mic now.
6.
Congratulations, Bryce. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, I just showed up.
Sorry, you stealthed in here at the last minute. So sorry, I wasn't 100% set up here.
Very stealthy.
It is not a traditional horror book, but I would think that Sandman in some fashion falls under that sort of.
I would. The serial killer convention would definitely be
sure.
That story.
Yeah, with the Corinthian.
Yeah.
Not. Like I said, not traditional horror, not monsters, but there are monsters in it. There straight up are monsters in it.
Okay, spoiler alert.
But
just kidding.
But not what you would normally think of as horror. But with the new Sandman miniseries Overture about to come out this next week, very very excited for that. We may actually talk about that a little bit later.
And
what about
I would always include Hellboy.
Yeah.
What about the Jeff? Isn't there a Jeff Leb Tim Sale book? But it's like a part of the Long Halloween Dark Victory, but it's in between. It's like a Halloween.
The Haunted Night.
Haunted Night is like a bunch of short stories or something like that.
Yeah, some of the earliest stuff they did together were a bunch of Batman one shots. The place at Halloween.
Yep.
There's
there you go.
Ghosts. I want to say one was called Ghosts. One was called. I can't remember the other one, but it's collected under Haunted Night.
There's also Batman.
Yeah,
it's all Batman stuff. Yeah,
like
I love that era of Loeb. Nothing. Nothing current. Also, even though it's more crime noir, Fatale is
pretty spooky.
Got a lot of occult, creepy shit that I don't actually like. but
it's Brubaker, so you keep reading.
Exactly. That's sad but true.
House of Mystery.
Did you read Brubaker's new book this week?
Velvet?
Yeah.
I want to.
I love that book.
Steve Epting also.
I like him, Captain America.
Winter Soldier
is fantastic.
I knew I missed a book this week.
Yeah.
No, at the House of Mystery that Vertigo put out a few years ago, they actually had a couple Halloween specials.
Yeah. There was like an issue 13 special, I think, and
Yeah, and then they
there
had
was
like
something
two
else. Yeah.
special one-shot issues for Halloween.
Yeah,
It was really good.
the horror has never been like the main focus in a lot of comics. If you go back to like EC days, I mean, there was a lot of kind of horror and crime books, but in recent years,
Like
it
Chaos
feels
books. I don't even know if they count as horror
that's not.
books.
Nah,
Evil Ernie stuff. I don't know. I never read it. I don't know. I'm just going by visuals.
First Evil Ernie miniseries, but later stuff, it's like it's just sort of
Whatever. Yeah.
it's not horror anymore. It's just
Vampirella is not horror either. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just asking.
Early Vampirella,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But like now it's just kind of cheesecakey. Like it's not horror.
Yeah.
I mean, Walking Dead could be considered horror.
Sure,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
And Mitchell, seriously, open that compendium and read it already.
I was worried that Brock was going to mention, Marvel books are all horror.
yeah, horror.
I was waiting for that, Brock.
Well, he already did it with Speedball.
Yeah, that's why I threw Speedball in there.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, is Marvel...
I heard that book Hackslash is like another good horror book. I've never read it, but I just know that it's kind of popular.
Yeah.
They have a couple omnibuses.
I haven't
like-
read it yet, but the premise is pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
basically a girl that survives and then goes and hunts the monsters. I thought that the premise is kind of
Again,
cool.
kind of. It is horror
Ish.
inspired, but it's not like horror, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it
I've
doesn't
never
have
read
that.
it, so I just saw
It's
it.
horror inspired, but when T and A.
Well, it has. It's more sort of like action adventure Buffy girl kind of action,
okay.
as opposed to just like horror.
Have you
But
read that, Charlie? I mean, you tend to just read books just to check them out, even.
No, I haven't
No?
got that one yet.
Okay.
Now, would Crossed be considered like horror porn?
Yeah, that's just horrible torture porn. So we won't talk about Cross.
American Vampire.
But there's a lot of good horror books out there. So a lot of good
Max
stuff.
Brooks is doing Extinction Parade right now, which is
Avatar.
not horror. It's not horror per se, but it's got vampires and zombies in it.
Yeah, I mean, again,
It's okay.
The line between horror and using elements of horror, but not actually being a horror.
Yeah.
It's like Evil Dead, right? Evil Dead, straight up
Yeah.
horror movie. Evil Dead 2, it's still a horror
It's
movie.
horror
but-
slapstick.
Yeah, but you're sort of starting to split the difference. Army of Darkness is like a comedy almost, but it uses horror elements.
I
in
mean,
it.
the same could be said for Child's Play.
Sure, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Didn't Bruce Campbell
Leprechaun,
just sign on
Back
to
from the
do
Hood.
another one of those movies?
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Leprechaun in space, dude?
No, I mean there was a new Evil Dead remake that was kind of like a remake of the
Both
first
Sam
one.
Raimi and Bruce Campbell have said they have the intention to go and do an Army of Darkness 2 right
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
Whether or not it remains in development for the next 50 years, who knows? But
It's right after Ghostbusters 3.
Actually, I'd be down to watch
and-
that old Bruce Campbell.
I'm gonna kill you.
Hold on.
trust me, if they actually do make it, I will be the first one in line going to watch it. So.
Yeah.
It'd be
Trailer in front of Bill and Ted 2. Oh, sorry, Bill and Ted 3.
Bill and Ted 2.
Sorry, Bill and Ted
exists.
3.
It'd be like Bad Grandpa with a shotgun. This is my boomstick.
Anyway,
I will watch Old Bill and Ted.
let's
with the shotgun?
let's move on from here.
Another question?
We got some more questions here. This one's from Brewmaster over on or Boomaster as he's known this month over on Twitter. He says, "What do you guys think of the chances of Ben Affleck is playing an older Dark Knight Rises?" This is actually interesting. An older Dark Knight Rises Levitt and is still in the Nolanverse. So this sort of Robin Batman that pops up at the end of Dark Knight Rises.
That is actually Blake.
That he's
the older
that he's
Blake?
John Blake. Yeah.
Huh.
I don't think they
JGL.
would do that.
No.
Why wouldn't they just get Joseph Gordon-Levitt back if they were going to go that route?
Not to mention, I think it's more likely if they were going to do that, they'd just
What is he asking
over
for?
Bruce Wayne come out of.
Yeah, is he asking if
Yeah.
think he's going to be the same character or he thinks it would be cool?
Oh, just I mean, do you think there's any chance of that?
No.
No, I don't think so.
I if they wanted to like retroactively make the Nolan universe part of Man of Steel and then
Oh.
possibly the rest of the DC universe,
Yeah,
movies,
which we have something to talk about in a bit here.
I mean, they could, and they could just sort of be like, they could never call him Bruce Wayne at all in the movie and just sort of leave it.
He'll be Blake forever.
Oh, just
Well,
John?
leave it so you don't. Like, I remember when they first started doing the Teen Titans cartoon, when Justice League was on and stuff, they intentionally didn't name Robin
right
for, like,
a long,
ever.
like I think it's just season 4.
Yeah,
I really
something
think it
like
was a
that.
long time
It
till
was
they
a very
named
long
him.
time because they didn't want to like say, is it Tim? Is it Dick? They
Right.
could do the same thing with Batman. They could literally not ever say Bruce for how many movies?
I actually think Ben Affleck could do a kind of villainous Bruce Wayne, like a party Bruce Wayne from Thrill of Runner. I could kind of see him doing that kind of like playboy party, I'm messing with your head kind of Bruce Wayne. So I'm thinking it's going to be Bruce.
Well, I've continuously said that Ben Affleck is a great Bruce Wayne. Whether he can pull off Batman or not, we'll see. But I could totally see him being Bruce Wayne as kind of that playboy.
I think if they go, I think they should just leave the Nolan universe alone because it's so standalone.
More than likely.
The thing is, I mean, this can catapult more Batman movies within the
that's
franchise
the whole point.
of like.
I mean, that's what
that.
it is.
So it's kind of like just let it go and let's start anew and go in this direction and take it to like the older Batman. Instead of going, let's tie it into this, just catapult it and have more Batman movies.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've been saying since the beginning. They should just continue on doing Justice League and then have the Batman movies come after.
It's the third franchise.
The nice thing also is the fact that by establishing Batman as older and being around longer, they could cast somebody younger to play like solo Batman movies while still sort of keep him specifically for modern.
And it's not impossible to also think that they could just say like, yeah, sure, this takes place in the Nolan universe. I'm an older version of Batman. I'm still Bruce Wayne. I came back. Now, Ben Affleck and what's his face don't really look alike, but I mean, they could. He's not even that much. He's even that much older.
Well, the two war machines don't look alike either. So
yeah, sure. It doesn't matter. What the hell? What else? Batman? I can't think of his name. I'm totally blanking on his name right now.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale. Like Ben Affleck and Christian Bale don't look alike, but they could be the same guy. I was gone for 5 years. But
he's just another Time Lord at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like if they were going to go down the road of like using the Nolanverse, they would have recasted Christian Bale or Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
If they could.
Dump the money truck.
I don't think they would go through the ranks of like getting Ben Affleck and then trying to show everyone that he was the same character. That would be too much.
Yeah,
I feel like if they really wanted to do that, they would just recast him.
Yeah. Greg Ford, former Geekbox podcast host, asks, who do you think is going to win the game tonight? That would be the Red Sox. The Red Sox.
What's this game you speak of?
It's a game with guys with sticks.
I don't understand.
Not your thing, Toby.
It was very sly, slipping that one in, Al.
Yeah.
Not really. It was horrible.
Is it played by men?
It is, occasionally. Big Nasty Test on Twitter says, any advice on starting a comic...
testes.
He just didn't want to say it.
TSST.
You spelling it out, it still says the same thing, dude.
Any advice on starting a comic book shop in a local flea market? I have no idea. I actually don't...
well, I know the San Jose flea market here doesn't allow
comic
book
books
sales
really?
or collectible sales.
Just the one here does all the time?
Yeah.
No, the San Jose one.
Okay,
the
that's
San
weird.
Jose flea market. It depends because they're very easy targets for thieves that get comic books and go resell them. So they've had a big problem. So it depends on the flea market. I mean, depends on where it goes. I mean, you could make some money doing it. But
I know Charlie and my friend here, Michael Eaton from the Legends, is selling comics at flea markets, and he's been doing that for a while. Of course, he sells a whole lot of other things too.
It depends on what flea market, but I know San Jose doesn't allow it anymore because of just the theft and. Stuff, so.
I mean, outside of that, I would say it's just like anything else. Especially at a flea market, you would want to be set up, I would assume, more like a convention. You want to either bring really expensive stuff, which...
No, I think a flea market would be all cheapies. Yeah.
Which, at a flea market, probably isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Or, more likely, you bring cheap stuff, you bring budget stuff, you bring discount stuff, you bring stuff just kind of dumb. But I mean, I've heard of people bringing, some decent stuff to flea markets. So...
But those things need to be bagged and boarded.
Yeah,
a bunch of savages.
Yes. We all know the line. I think.
Well, I'm also more worried about the expensive books being in the sun the entire day.
Well, that's the thing. You have these books outside. You're going to be showing them. There's going to be some theft. I mean, flea markets. I don't think it's traditionally known as being. I'm sure most of them are fine, but to me, it seems like a little bit like And you're going to get a lot of people wanting to wheel and deal and bring cheap shit that you can. If it's $1 and you sell it for 50 cents, still make money on that. So. Yeah. There's enough people out there. You go on Craigslist and look under free crap. Like my girlfriend was looking on there the other day, and someone was giving away like a garage full of comic books, just giving them away. And you can get stuff for cheap and sell them cheap. So
yeah,
it'll probably work if you again, like any business, if you know what you're doing. So
good luck.
A nod to our old Sam. He was a master at that.
Yeah. Well, he would buy. I mean, we're in the process of going for. Actually, next week we're going to go pick up another big chunk of his collection.
He was was good. He could sniff it out. He could sniff it out. He would go to a garage and go, I smell good books. Here's a stop.
Sorry, this weekend.
It was his superpower.
We actually got a handful of questions about Batman Arkham Origins. Charlie, have you started playing that yet?
Nope.
Okay,
Don't own it
Brock,
yet.
you haven't.
I haven't. I'll have my copy by the end of the week.
Yeah. I actually didn't pick it up yet either. I'm going to. I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet.
I
I just love the fact that we're all in the same, like, we're going to get it soon, damn it.
Well, I think with this one, I think we all really enjoyed Arkham Asylum. We all really enjoyed Arkham City, and we know what these games, what's in these games, and this is a new
team,
new publisher, new team. So we're hoping it's the same, but we're not as excited for it. Like if this was
you can stop talking right there.
Yeah.
I'm totally excited for this.
Well, no, I'm excited for it too. But
Yeah.
there's part of me that's like, this is a new, it's a new kind of publisher. So is it the same kind of feel? Because
same engine.
it's the same engine. But the thing is the
how's
game
the feel going to be different?
It might not work the same.
The reviews have been
All right, I've read one review and I heard it was like the same as Arkham City, but just kind of like
just a little different. Yeah. I mean, most of the reviews I've said are like, if you like Arkham City, you'll like this. It's kind of,
but it's nothing mind blowing or new. It's nothing new, yeah.
But it's moving on a narrative, right? It's moving on this Arkham storyline that they're doing. Oh, there's a flashback, but it's still bringing in new elements.
I heard the origins though. It's not very origin-y. It's like it's Batman. He's settled. He has all his gear. It's not like a year one kind of thing where he's tripping over stuff.
Play as a young Bruce.
I've heard some spoilers.
That wouldn't be fun.
I've heard some spoilers for the end.
Could be League Assassins.
And while it may not be an origin of Bruce, because it starts off with he's fighting Black Mask, right? It's like, sure. Although I have not played it myself, I have heard some spoilers to the end. And while not an origin of Batman, it sounds like it is an origin for something else.
Can I laugh? Can I laugh?
We will maybe talk about maybe at the end of the podcast or later in a week or two when we've all played it. So
that was a hint, by the way.
No, not that.
Oh
no, something else.
Okay,
interesting.
Because I heard that was a rumor too.
An origin of a particular team.
Ooh.
So, but I don't know.
That wasn't a spoiler.
I have not played it myself, so I don't know.
It's going to be the Teen Titans.
Team 7?
Well, there's a lot of teams in this universe. So.
If it's Batman and the Outsiders, I think I'm gonna.
You're gonna die. You're gonna pee in your pants like Charlie did. No, I'm kidding.
The next game is just what's his face? Just sitting front and center. Just Brock Scout tells his name. Geoforce right there. It's like
I wanted to play the first and I had an old school TV so I can read half the stuff that were saying. So I didn't play that. And then the second one came out. I remember buying on the first day with Charlie, actually, and got so busy I never touched that either. And both of them Game of the Year's edition where they have all the extra stuff that I really would want, like the Nightwing.
All the skins and stuff.
Yeah, like
cool.
the skins, the Nightwing mission, the Catwoman stuff. So
it's Tim Drake stuff too. I think.
Now, Tim Drake stuff. Now I'm smarter since I know if I buy it now, it'll just collect dust till it's Game of the Year edition. I'm gonna just wait it out.
Yeah, by next Christmas it'll be.
Yeah, because I already know I'm gonna rebuy those games now because I want the complete game. So I might as well wait it out.
Well, they're gonna release a box set of all three, and then next year when the fourth one comes out,
are they gonna re-release it for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, like a next gen?
I guarantee you, they have to.
Yeah.
There's no way.
I feel like all the games that are coming out now, like right before
they refresh them up.
They're gonna refresh them up and release them. Like for GTA 5, I know they're doing that for sure. I think
PlayStation stuff. They've already said like they're looking for incentives to get people to buy the game still and not wait it out. So there's like an upgrade for $10 thing.
That's kind of cool.
I pre-ordered FIFA 14 for the PS4 as kind of like my launch game.
Who is this Ryan?
Look at this sports guy over here now. I've been gone for a couple months and I come back.
Try working with him during
I like sports games. I do.
I never would have saw that one coming.
I played every now and again. I played the show a bunch, which is a bunch of the.
I think Ryan's just trolling right now. He's like, no, next week I got Mario instead.
I had a nice long conversation with Bryce the other day about which English Premier League soccer team I should start. I really rooting for.
That was my choice.
I was here for that.
His choice is a good one.
So, yeah,
cool.
FIFA is fun. I have to give it to you. That I don't like soccer, but FIFA is
I don't
really
play
fun.
these every year. I play them every couple of years. I've played the show 2 out of the last 4 years. I played FIFA a couple years ago.
FIFA's fun if you have like friends and it gets competitive and stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like too.
I played NHL like
what?
2 out of the last 2 out of the last
World
4
is
years.
ending.
Like I kind of switch them up. I
didn't even know you knew what soccer and hockey were.
What?
Like
hockey next to baseball. Hockey is like my favorite sport.
Jesus Christ.
What about cricket?
Well, cricket. I mean, clearly number one. Okay.
You just keep racking up the sports that you love, Ryan.
Yeah.
Cricket's not a real sport.
You watch your mouth.
Tell that to
now the podcast is divided.
tell that to 95% of the world. But no, what happens with me, Toby, sports games are like role-playing games now.
What?
Yeah, because you have the character that you make that runs through a whole season. You have their stats and their skills. I mean, really,
it's true. The build a character thing, it's pretty. The depth of it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
now,
and that is the stuff that once they started adding that stuff in, and especially the last kind of decade or so,
you go through the farm system and you build them up. You get drafted.
It's really cool.
You don't want to play the Jock D&D, which is fantasy football, fantasy basketball, fantasy hockey.
It's the same thing. That's what
the
I'm
Jock
saying.
D&D.
Right? Exactly. It's exactly what I'm talking about. It's the same sort of thing.
Can we get off the sports conspiracy, please?
Okay, no more sports. No more.
Feeling
sports.
left out, Brock.
So drop it.
Okay,
no, I don't care.
Well, I'm just waiting for a few more podcasts from now. Somebody's going to be like, I'll buy you pizza if you don't talk about sports. The entire podcast.
All right. No more sports. All right. This is from Andrew. Actually, from the All Talk podcast.
Andrew.
On Geekbox Forum, Totoro. He asks, when will Marvel pull out a collection of NFL SuperPro? I want that collected.
It is coming out as an omnibus. Next year is in Charlie size. It will feature Michael Jordan as a special issue. We'll have gold embossing and
embossing. I assume there is some rights that the rights to that book is long since gone, and they can't put out NFL SuperPro anymore.
Buy the single issues.
And then you do
to Herring and
pull a Bryce
up in Brisbane, and have them bind it for you.
Yes, I unfortunately I don't think we're likely to get a copy of NFL SuperPro released in trade paperback. I actually want to say there was a collection like years ago, maybe in like the mid-late 90s. They did one.
I think I had one of the Legends. I actually think there was one.
I think there was like one collection, but to the best of my knowledge,
it's so rare that it goes for hundreds of dollars now.
Probably. All right, this time I swear no more sports talk. This is from
Until
Tim.
the Red Sox score again.
Yeah.
We'll get an update.
This is from Tim. What's your favorite sports-related novel? I can't make them up. I just read them as I see them, okay?
What in the world?
See,
I kind of like this new Ryan.
That is so funny.
Ryan actually even agreed to go to a basketball game with me.
I'm going to come back in a year and he's going to be wearing like jerseys.
Yeah, your jerseys. He's like, what is this comic book stuff?
Hey, man, Red Sox win. They got jerseys. They got shirts.
He's going to start selling sports cards.
Isn't he a trading card store?
Yeah. He got autographs on the wall.
I own a Red Sox shirt. I bought it when I went to Fenway a couple years ago. So, yeah. Unlike NFL SuperPro, there was actually, except for NFL SuperPro, there's actually not too many sports-related comic books. There was a long-running DC book where the superhero was like a pro basketball player, but he also went on missions at night.
What was that?
Dude, some guy at work made me borrow it. He gave me a whole stack. There's a whole series of it.
Cyborg played football in the New 52. He was college.
No. Without getting into manga, because Toby's going to go off about Slam Dunk and there's all the baseball manga and stuff like that. Just talking more about Western comics. God, I know they've tried a couple times to have WWE comics. And there was like Chaos did like an Undertaker comic. I think it had to have been Chaos.
Oh yeah,
they did an Undertaker comic. I mean, some new people just started up like a WWE comic with what's that? That guy. I think that guy's involved. That guy that's big in the comic. But he's a professional wrestler, and I'm blanking on his name. I don't know anything about wrestling, but he's involved in it. I'm totally is it like CM Punk or something. Is that the guy's name?
No idea.
Totally drawing a blank. I don't know anything about wrestling.
Brian Wood's Mara is based around volleyball.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't read Mara. So yeah, there is occasionally some sports comics, but manga.
Yeah. Oh, I got the DC one. His name is Zero.
Zero?
Yeah, it's from 1997. The character's public identity is Coldrain Train Walker, an African-American professional basketball player. He operates secretly as a technologically enhanced closer, an agent who can be counted to tie up loose ends.
Is this one of those like Milestone comics or something?
No, flat out DC comics, yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
He looks funny, too.
The one book that I can think of when I think of like sports, the only one I've ever read, Jeff Lemire's Essex County. The second book is about
that's totally milestone.
Yeah.
What is the name of the book?
Zero.
Essex County
Xero.
With X.
Okay.
I got it.
Oh, yeah.
What in the world?
Essex County.
Yeah, Jeff Lemire did it. It was like the book that really put Jeff Lemire on the map. And he's from Canada, so he's a big hockey player, big hockey fan. And the second book in Essex County is about two brothers that play hockey, and there's like straight like hockey, like full games in that book. Like it's actually pretty interesting how like
I have never seen any issues with
everyone that no, actually that is just DC up proper. Huh? Yeah,
I told you.
No clue.
I told you I have a whole stack of this.
I thought it was a milestone comic. Yeah, I mean, I worked here at this time. I've never seen this comic book in my life. So, wonderful.
Well, you know, at that time you were still the old Ryan who's like, fucking sports. What is this shit? I'm not going to order this crap.
All right. Yeah. Toby's going to say Slam Dunk.
Oh, what?
Best comic book sports related comic.
Absolutely.
So that's Toby's jam.
Absolutely.
The Danger Room can have sports places.
Well, actually, I always like when the X-Men played sports, to be honest
The baseball issues of the X-Men have always been really fun.
I'm a basketball guy, so I liked it when Gambit is shooting a basket and they're saying he was using his powers because he can aim so good.
Yeah, you would like Gambit playing any sport.
Yeah, and plus he was topless, and no, kidding.
We're not talking about Arrow yet.
We're not talking about Arrow yet.
They're shirtless when it's dudes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
in Uncanny X-Force and Rick Remender's run, I think it was in the first issue, there's like, they're walking through like the mansion and there's like a great like picture of like Wolverine and Nightcrawler like in their baseball uniforms, like with the bat.
Oh, really? Yeah,
it's drawn by Jerome Payne. It's actually really funny. It's just like hanging there.
I like that stuff actually. I actually always dug those kind of issues. Yeah. I think there's Avengers, wasn't Avengers doing baseball too? And what's that big crossover when they had to fight like each other?
The AVX?
No. Before that, in the 80s.
That's how Civil War ended. It was over a nice baseball game.
Like opera?
No, when there's like a guy that like plucks all the heroes from Earth, and then they had to fight each other.
Secret Wars?
Yeah, weren't they playing baseball in the second Secret Wars?
Yes, that sounds really familiar.
Yeah,
what in the world?
Yeah. Secret Wars 2 with the Beyonder. Dominic, this is actually a weird question. He says, are you planning on grabbing Arkham Origins or waiting for a Wii U release? The Wii U version's already out of Arkham Origins, and I actually heard it is a little it doesn't have multiplayer, which I don't care about, but it apparently is better than the PS3 and the Xbox 360 version.
Wait a minute.
It has better.
Wait a minute. I have Arkham for Wii U also. Charlie hooked me up with that.
That's the Armored Edition. That should have everything in it.
Oh, that's it? Oh, so I don't have... Oh, well,
I think you're good with that one.
I didn't even know. I maybe don't have to rebuy. I already did it. Rebought.
Actually, the Wii U edition is pretty much why I haven't bought it yet, because I need a fucking sale, damn it. And every single sale I've seen for this thing are just the PS3 or the Xbox.
But it's $10 cheaper.
Yeah, already, but like when the day it came out at Toys R Us, if you bought the PS3 version or the Xbox 360 version, you got a $20 gift card. The sale they're doing right now is if you buy 2 games that are $59.99 or more, you get a $40 gift card.
It's $49.99.
Exactly.
Tyler asks, do I send questions to the comicconspiracy@geekbox.com? Is that the right address? Actually, it's not the right address, and I told you it was. It's actually the comicconspiracy@geekbox.net. So that's my mistake.
You don't even
check
that.
I do.
You trash it.
However, he did ask a question. He said he never read Marvel vs. DC. I'm assuming he means
which one?
The old Marvel vs.
The Almanac
crossover.
one?
Yeah.
The crossover.
Well, there's two eras. There's the one from the 80s, which I really like.
Yeah, that was Marvel vs. DC, though.
Well, there's really been
starring
3
in each other's.
Oh, okay.
DC, was that Kurt Busiek?
Well, there's been 3.
That was like in the 90s. That was like in the 90s.
The George Perez one. I was talking to someone about it.
No, that was later.
Yeah,
that was later.
There's been 3 kind of eras of Marvel vs. DC. They had all the original crossover books for like Teen Titans vs. X-Men.
Yeah.
And they had like Cap and Superman,
No,
or was it Cap and Batman?
Spider-Man, Superman.
It was Spider-Man, Batman.
They had Superman.
Huh?
Yes.
Well, they had like the way early ones, like Superman and Spider-Man. Actually, I'm sorry. There was 4. There was the original, which was Superman and Spider-Man, Hulk and Batman, and then that kind of led into like the New Teen Titans and X-Men.
Oh yeah,
and then
that was a good
later in the early 90s,
there was Star Trek X-Men. No, I'm kidding.
Well, that was good too. In the 90s, they did like it was I want to say it was Cap and Batman.
It was Cap and Batman. Yeah. I just filed.
Yeah.
And it's Batman, Spider-Man.
I just remember they did all the voting around there. And
that's later. That's after. So the second batch is like Galactus and Darkseid.
Yes.
There was a couple more. I'm blanking on a lot of them, but there was more. Then they did Marvel versus DC.
Yes.
Which
with
was
the voting.
The voting,
yes.
the miniseries.
The Almanac stuff after?
Led into, what?
The Almanac stuff after.
Almanac?
Yeah, the Almanac stuff after.
Amalgam. Yeah. Amalgam was a crossover where they took the character. I'm like, Almanac.
You are not from this country, and it's so obvious every podcast.
No, Almanac. Jesus, now I can't think of the real word.
Amalgam,
where they took the Marvel and DC characters and merged them. So you had like Spider-Boy and the Legion of Spider-Boys.
Yeah, you had like a weird Superman,
Lobo the Duck.
Captain America.
Yeah. Lobo the Duck.
Yes, it was all about Lobo the Duck.
You had like
Wolverine Batman.
Yeah, Wolverine Batman. The Claw, or something
Claw.
they called it.
Yeah. So there was a lot of those, and were fun. And then the companies started kind of fighting, but they got together, like fighting IRL. Like they were starting to not get along.
Yes.
But they finally got together. They finished JLA vs. Avengers.
Which was a 20-year in the making project.
Right. Kurt Busiek, George Perez, every character from the Avengers and the Justice League in every costume variation they've ever been in, even if just for a panel, was in this book. George Perez broke his hand drawing the cover for issue number 3, I think it was.
Oh, dude.
Which is an amazing cover. It's every single character just running for like flying.
And we were just talking about this before the podcast.
Yep.
I call it the fake absolute because DC put this nice hardcover book out, which has the official one and also the unreleased pages that he had Perez drew.
Yeah.
And it comes in that slipcase in the size of an absolute book.
One of the best absolutes, even though it's not officially an absolute.
Yes.
But awesome. All these are fun just because, even if the stories aren't that great.
Oh, it's just, you open the page, it's beautiful because you get to see all your characters. You know, Green Arrow and a Hawkeye next to each other is just cool.
It freaks me, like my brain stops working properly because I'm looking at this going, how can these things be on the page together? Like, they cannot go together. It's just really weird feeling.
That actually begs my question. I actually didn't like when it said they were from different universes. Personally, I always imagined that they're in the same universe. They just happen to not meet. The world's big enough for that. So I like the earlier ones better, where they just happen to cross each other.
Well,
and
that's like X-Men and X-Men and Teen Titans. They're like, oh yeah, we just happen to go over here, and there you are.
That's kind of what I prefer. In my mind, it's all one.
That was a great story, X-Men Teen Titans.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, with Phoenix and everything. That was good stuff.
In that JLA Avengers, though, there was that cover. It was like Superman with like the Cap shield.
Yeah,
and, like, the
Thor's hammer.
Oh my god, that was so sick.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And the visuals are definitely fantastic.
I actually got only 2 more questions here on Twitter, so let's burn through these real quick. CrossX Hunter, frequent podcast guy on the forums and everything, says, do you guys read any webcomics? I feel like we answer this from time to time, but good to update if we've been reading anything recently. I read Penny Arcade, but that's the only thing I read, and I don't even read it all the time. I just don't get into webcomics. Charlie?
Private Eye.
I think you're more in stuff.
The Brian K. Vaughan with Marcus Martin.
Nice.
That's a webcomic, Private Eye. It's awesome.
I kind of don't see, because of I understand the format is a webcomic and stuff, but it's not your traditional webcomic.
No, but format. They just release it for you pay whatever you want. It's on their website and you scroll through it. I don't really prefer the web. I wish it was an actual book. I think it would read better, but it's still cool though.
Honestly, reading that book, I'm like, so when they're done with this, there will be a hardcover, and I will buy the hardcover.
They've said there's never going to come out in a physical form, and I say you are full of shit. Yeah, because there is no way it's not coming out in a hardcover or a trade of some fashion. So
who would release it though? Because it's independent fully. There's no
Image
themselves.
Yeah,
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter.
Or Image will put it out. There's no way they're going to pass up that sort of money. There's no chance.
I occasionally glance at our valued customer. That's about all.
You glance. You love study that site.
No, recently I haven't. I haven't been.
Every 30 seconds, it's like, oh, there's a funny thing from Brock, our valued customer.
I like Christina Strain's book. She's a big colorist. She did a lot of the Runaway stuff. She colored a lot of that.
She brought that up last time we talked.
Yeah, the Fox Sisters. I really like that book. And a friend of mine years ago, I don't even think it might be archived up there. To Tea Club. It's about a tea drinking bear. I kind of like that stuff. That's cool.
Charlie, you've got to read all the Thrill Bend stuff. No.
So
it's Mark Waid. You don't read that?
I have read.
Mark Waid is your hero.
Here's the thing with me and webcomics. I fall insanely behind, and then instead of doing work like I'm supposed to be doing, I
binge through them.
Exactly. So that's in general how I do things. I fall extremely behind, and then I'll catch up on like a year's worth or 2 years worth.
I think I do that too.
A lot of people go that way because webcomics. Because I'll be like, oh, it's been 6 months since I looked at Penny Arcade. Next.
Yeah, done. Yeah, because otherwise, every week on a new page.
I know
a week for a page.
I know, Michael Rodden, I'm going to call you out. One of our customers and listener of the podcast. He's going to send me a list of 10,000 webcomics he reads every week, and I'm like, if you read 10,000 webcomics a week, then you can read them all every week. And but for people that only read one or two, it seems like something you just want to check out occasionally. So, but I wish
Leanne kept her webcomic going. That stuff was.
Ryan never posted issue number 2. Or comic number 2. Ryan's the worst.
Damn Ryan Higgins.
Ryan Higgins is the worst. Of course, I mean Ryan Scott, Geekbox proprietor. And very last one, Robert on Twitter says, what arcs... he has read and liked Green Lantern New 52. What should he read prior New 52? And the answer is go to conspiratorbaroque.com, search for Green Lantern reading list, go to the first book, Rebirth. And
I was going to say, just read Rebirth and then go, oh, now I need to get the
What's the next trade? Yeah. What's the next trade? Because you want to read them all.
Yes. Yeah. They're all so good.
Yep.
That's coming from Marvel Bryce.
I think you could skip, the, Green Lantern Corps, New Guardians, and,
Well, Green Lantern Corps that you need for, like, Sinestro Corps War, it's literally, like, the next part is...
For the big crossovers, it's worth reading the accompanying books. And there's a few things where they had build up in, like, there were a few story arcs in, like, Core where they really talked about the Star Sapphires and how they were doing things, and that only came out in the Core books.
And Tomasi did such a good job on that book.
Yeah.
Totally.
For the run of that
and Gleason, too, that was awesome.
Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily, like, you don't have to jump on Core with everything, but there's a lot of the mythology that got established in Core separate.
So. And the Core reading list is up on conspiratorbaroque.com. So you can get both.
The whole Core series was only half as long, I think, as Green Lantern was.
Since we ran about 50.
It started a couple issues after Jeff Johns was on.
It was 10 issues less than that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it was within the first year of Green Lantern it launched Core, because they did the Core Rebirth
Recharge. Same team. I think Gleason and Tomasi did like all of it. I think that was the same team.
No, Tomasi didn't start it. Someone else.
Johns did. Well, Johns wrote, I think, the first issue.
Did the co-author on the Recharge.
Right, but the first, I want to say, arc was someone else. I don't think it was Tomasi.
That'd be interesting to look up. I have that whole run. I still remember.
At least parts of it wasn't Tomasi.
Okay.
There were issues he didn't do, but then he
started, and then him and Gleason did it.
They did the remainder of it, yeah.
Did Tomasi launch the New 52 Core also?
Yeah.
Yep. He's been on the whole time. One of the very few books that had no, at least, writing shift. I mean, until they did the whole Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was kind of those 2 books.
It was a solid book for a time.
Yeah, a long time, like 7 years. So
that's it for questions. Years.
Yeah,
dude, it probably was.
Green Lantern was
too bad that
almost
all the continuity is.
Green Lantern was like 8.5, almost 9 years.
No, because I remember actually I bought Green Lantern #1 Jeff Johns issue here when I was like in 8th grade, and now I'm 23, and that seems like that wasn't that long ago.
I think Rebirth was 04.
Yeah, so I was 14, so that was at least like 8-9 years ago for sure.
I think Rebirth was 04. Yeah, yeah. Bryce is like, how old am I now?
Way to make me feel old.
I'm still like 17,
Sorry,
right?
Dude.
Damn it.
When you start measuring your life in comic book, you're like, oh man.
Well, that was only 2 decades ago. I mean, come on, guys. It really wasn't that long ago.
No.
I got some old books for you.
Yeah. Seriously, I'm getting ready for old books to start being like 2000s, like
House of M, Infinite Crisis.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's
old
the thing
books.
that
Remember
gets me.
Old books. Remember when Bendis was writing
New Avengers?
Yeah.
Or disassembled all that stuff.
That's the thing that gets me, especially in comics nowadays, is when they celebrate the anniversary of something. It's just like, oh my god, has it really been that long?
I bought Batman Superman #1 here too, off the wall, Jeff Loeb and McGinnis, and that was when I was like 13.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we're coming up on.
Ouch.
Yeah, we're coming up on
that whole series bound.
I was working at Legends at the time.
I mean, we're coming
in the
up
mall,
on
Malcolm Mall, classic.
And at that point, I was there like already like quite a few years.
That place is gone, right?
No.
It's still there.
Bigger on the other side.
What? No way.
Because the mall has never recovered.
Added multiplied.
Legends is still there. Wow.
I'm trying to remember what
crazy.
year. We are coming slowly up on the 10-year anniversary of Avengers Disassembled and the start of like the Bendis Marvel universe. Yeah, it was January 2005 was New Avengers #1, so it would have been like later half of 04 the Disassembled start. So we're 9 years into a Bendis.
You guys just stop. Let's move on.
Walking Dead's 10 years old.
Shut up. Let's move on.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Well, Charlie.
I remember putting Walking Dead onto the comic book shelves for the first time.
Charlie wants to tell us all about Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
There's been some continuity
You're just
shifts.
killing Toby here, not getting to Arrow.
I know. I thought he was going to talk
I've been
about
fucking
Arrow,
waiting
too.
for this shit. I've been shoehorning it in through all the questions. I'm like, we're going to talk about it later.
We got. I want to hear Charlie explain Iron Man to us, and then we'll have
It's
Arrow.
because Ryan doesn't understand.
Hold on, Arrow, the Captain America trailer, and then Tale of Sand. That's the order in which we're going to finish this off.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
And when I'm here, we also do a random pick. So.
Yeah. Oh, snap.
Booyah.
Good. All right, cool.
Okay, so Iron Man Secret Origin.
Now,
So-
well, before Charlie starts, and I don't hate to interrupt you, Charlie, because
That's fine.
I know we're going to
Go
tribulate
for
12
it.
times. I've hated Iron Man since the relaunch. I've straight up hated it. I've tried 2 or 3 times to jump back in, and I'm like, this is unreadable garbage. You've been reading it the whole time, though.
Yep.
Are you?
I'm a glutton for punishment.
Do you like
what can I
it,
say?
or
It's more along the lines
'Cause I'm having
that
a
I don't
hard-
objectively hate it.
I'm having a
but
hard
it's
time.
not.
Who launched it? Was
I will
Garen
not
and
be
Land or
buying a hardcover of this. I will not be
It's-
buying a
it's-
trade of this. I am content reading it once. And
it's Karen
that's-
Gillan, who I normally like.
Young Avengers is cool, and his the journey into mystery was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Kieran Gillen, 50-50 to me.
yeah.
The
But-
third issue is like the best one with that little girl, and then the rest of them suck.
Didn't Greg Land start on the book with him though? Wasn't he the artist?
That was Land at first.
Okay, so explain Iron Man to us, please.
Okay, so now we're back to why this was brought up. So this current story arc, the quote unquote Secret Origin, basically revolved around the fact that when Howard Stark, and I can't remember the mother's name right now.
Yeah, I had it up here, but I don't have it up here right now.
So they basically are having a child, but the child is doomed to die basically without some sort of outside interference.
It's like a bubble boy?
This alien robot guy comes down and pretty much goes, I can fix your kid, but if I fix your kid, he's pretty much going to suit my purposes at some point, which was
Cough Star Trek Into Darkness. Cough.
not quite like that, but okay. No, but the whole sort of purpose was at some point he needed a genetically modified human that could essentially take over a celestial-sized star killer kind of thing.
Whoa.
So the idea was that Tony Stark had been bred from birth to basically pilot suits and like, you know, the whole idea of has he really done anything in his life or was it all
Pre-programmed.
predetermined for him? And that's what this whole arc was sort of about, as this robot sort of reappeared and pretty much said, okay, now you're coming with me. And he took over Tony's technology and dragged him across the universe until, like, at the end, Tony could not actually interface with this star killer thing and pretty much had to stop it from destroying Earth and everything as you would expect in a typical story. So they introduced sort of this question towards the end basically on, well, why couldn't he control the suit? And it's because it turned out he wasn't the child that was engineered. Because Howard basically found some stuff within the engineered DNA, and in the process of removing it to sort of counter what this guy's plan was, he essentially turned his child into a bubble boy, as you said, basically. And they couldn't let this alien know that they had basically messed with the cocktail, as it were. So they adopted another child and raised him as that biological child. So Tony is really adopted and didn't have his genes fucked with or anything. But that was the big reveal, was basically Tony Stark isn't biologically a Stark.
How many people have a headache right now?
Yeah. My brain started like frying.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's rough.
And apparently he's with the Guardians, but not with the Guardians.
Well, he left. He came
Well,
back.
this was...
He didn't do Infinity New Avengers stuff.
He can fly. Ross.
So
So the real child was still around, still being basically taken care of, but not... Tony didn't know he had a quote-unquote brother and all that, and that was a big reveal at the end of the issue.
And his brother...
Is the real Tony?
His brother is...
The real
Arno Stark, who is Iron Man 2020, which is a Iron Man character from this futuristic world that came around, according to Wikipedia, in the Machine Man limited series originally from 1984. So I don't remember him at first. I thought he first appeared in like that like prestige format book, but I guess he was first around in Machine Man. It seems such a weird, what?
Very high concept sci-fi weird shit.
But it seems ripe for people ignoring it completely when the book relaunches in 6 months.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
The way I looked at it was the whole idea of genetically engineering Tony Stark and all that as they were doing it. I'm like, okay, well, I kind of get this. This isn't like, okay, to pull in other Marvel stuff that's made me go, and that won't last, is you kind of occasionally you'll read something in a book and go, this is not going to become canon. This is going to be, they're going to finish the arc.
Shooting out his butt.
Tread lightly, Charlie, with what you're about to say.
Spider-Man shooting out his
Since
butt.
past from Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man I haven't read since the Clone Saga.
Well, no, but my point basically is every once in a while there's always going to be a book that you're going to read and go, wow, the direction they're going with this just isn't working, and they're going to drop it and ignore it within the next couple of years.
Let me ask you this, Charlie. Do you see them bringing this into Iron Man 4, the motion picture by Disney, releasing billions of people across the United States or in the world? No. What is the purpose of this? It makes no sense.
That doesn't make any sense, though. They didn't bring his drinking into it. They bring good stories to the movies, which, by the way, if there's going to be an Iron Man 4, I'm not even sure about that. But just because it happened in the comic books doesn't mean that it's going to happen in the movies.
It was an excuse to draw an Iron Man helmet and little
it just
socks
seems
on a baby.
like such ridiculousness. It makes no sense to me. It seems like this smacks of terrible 90s plotting and we have to change the character somehow. So Peter Parker's parents were clones that worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. or worked for AIM or whatever the hell. Like, who knows? It reeks of that.
I agree with that. I think that infrequently enough, there's stories that it just feels like the writers are reaching just too much. And it's like, look, can't you tell a good story without totally throwing the continuity into upheaval?
Yeah.
Now,
in a weird way, I feel like there's this desire in comics to tread over the origin without actually telling the same story over, and
I think add a new face to the origin.
Yeah, or a new twist, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I mean, yeah. I want to hear how he fucking pitched that to Marvel. Like he sat over at a table and explained that. And Marvel's like, yeah.
No. That's exactly what he pitched it. And he kept talking about it. Everybody was like, just shut up. Go and do it.
But you're the only one that wants to write Iron Man right now. Fucking go.
The thing is, though, the way they marketed it, it's like, the secret origin of Tony Stark. So if I see Iron Man 3, I'm like, oh, wow, I want to go read an Iron Man comic. You go look at that one, the secret origin, and you read that, and you're like, what the fuck? I'm never reading an Iron Man book again. Exactly. So I feel like that whole...
It's a great way to kill readership.
I came in, and I read the first issue, Secret Origin, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that ends with his dad having the video of him and he's talking to like the alien or something, and I was like, done, back on the wall. I'm out. I'm out. I know this is ridiculous. It just doesn't. I am fine with changing of continuity when I think it is an improvement and when it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
To me, this feels ridiculous.
Now, Charlie, did you actually like it? I mean, you told us about it, but did you like it?
As I said, it's a one and done story for me. I read it once, I put it back on the shelf, and I never go back to it again.
Charlie is where I was like 5 years ago. Where I was like, I'll read everything. Now I'm like, fuck, I don't want to read anything. Like, it's just like, God, like I mean, it is just true because like I'll give anything an issue or two, and then I'm like, no, I can't. If it's not worth even free reading for free at the store, I'm like, no. If it's not worth reading, I can't. Yeah, it's tough.
Well, to be fair, he's not watching Red Sox games. He has a little more time.
It's true.
Yeah,
Red Sox, by the way.
Red
Sox, by the way, won. Red Sox are up 3-2 in the series going back to Fenway Park on Wednesday night. So, but it's funny because you guys have spoken very unceremoniously of Uncanny X-Force recently, and no one here seems to like it except for me. I may have joined your bandwagon with the most recent issue. The recent issue was really bad.
Wait, the Spiral issue?
Yeah.
That was the best one, I think, in the last 6
Especially
issues.
the art. I had a really hard time with the art.
You liked the earlier art, but not this last issue's art?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, look, I think this last issue's art was just... Here, grab it, Toby. This last issue's art was just as bad, but if not slightly better than the previous.
Really?
The previous, like...
I had a hard time with it.
4 issues I thought were terrible. This is like a Spiral like one shot. I love this. The whole like Psylocke Phantomex like 3 or 4 months that we had before it were just like, oh my god.
What the fuck? This art is awesome.
Dude,
what are you smoking, Ryan?
This issue was it 12?
I better not be owning any of these issues right here. This is ugly as hell right here. That number 11.
So
I don't mind this art either.
This is number 12.
Sorry.
Yeah,
This is
Oh,
new
Fona.
X-Men.
What? Uncanny X-Force? No, I had
It's Ramon Perez, and I called him ugly.
Yeah, no, I don't
really
mind this
different.
art, but
this
I don't.
is the same guy.
No, it's not. That's Wolverine and the X-Men. That's Uncanny
Ramon
X-Force.
Perez.
Holy shit!
What? Well, on the cover, it's you're on the 11. Oh, I thought you were on 12. Oh, Ramon Perez, you're right.
This
Holy
is
shit.
different.
We'll bring up Ramon Perez
Wow.
in a little bit.
This is
Talk
way
about
different.
Tale of Sand.
Okay, I was not talking about this art. Maybe it was more than one issue back, but
Okay.
there was a couple issues back. There was just it was the Psylocke Phantom.
I like that.
No, well, you're the only one in America.
I guess. Yeah, no, I didn't care too much for that X-Force arc. Well, anyway, let's move on to Toby's favorite part of the podcast, and that's talking about burly, muscular men sweating when doing pull-ups in an opening scene of a TV show.
Yes.
We're going to call it Arrow Talk from now on.
Ollie porn.
The long quiver. How about that?
Going back, it is. It is. This is
Ollie's shaft.
Wait.
How about
We're
that?
going back to
Really?
Uncanny
Stop.
X-Force for a second. It is number 9 that I really disliked. Also,
Oh, the art number 12 doesn't look
it's
too
very
good.
weird.
It's the dude that did. I think it's the dude that did Runaways. And look, I appreciate that that's your style, and some people love that style. I did not like that style. I love Ramon Perez, and I don't know who did the art for the Spiral story, but it doesn't matter
Alfona.
because whoever did the art, it didn't matter as much to me because the Spiral story to me was really good in this last issue.
Who's ever doing the art for next issue, though? We can all look at Psylocke's face. I don't know.
What the hell is that? What
looks
happened there?
like a little
We'll
Chris
see.
Anka. Oof.
All right. Arrow Talk.
Well, it is officially called Toby Drools Over Arrow's Long Shaft. Okay, that's going to be now the
Ooh
official
la
name
la.
of the podcast.
Okay.
segment.
Is that a euphemism?
So,
Can't tell.
Evening with Arrow Shaft
Okay.
on Wednesday
that's
nights.
one bad mother. So I think we've kind of given up talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. till something happens in that show. However, Arrow, we
Yes.
talked about last week.
Yes.
We wanted to catch up and kind of talk about what's been happening on CW's Arrow, based on
Yes.
Green Arrow.
It's a very CW show too. Okay, keep going.
However, I don't think... And I actually had no intention of talking about Arrow for a few more weeks.
yeah. But something fucking happened.
I don't think anyone saw this last episode coming. And they kind of do it really nonchalant, and they sort of just... lay it out there,
Yeah.
and it took everyone a little bit of time, I think,
Yes.
but it clicked, and everyone realized exactly what happened in this last episode of Arrow.
Yes.
So Toby, you have been let's hear.
Well, I've been very excited because I'm just a big Black Canary fan, and I'm very happy that as a lonely man that they did Booby Canary to balance out the the shirtless Arrow all the time. So they play into both sexes now, so that's cool. So besides that factor, the episode was fun. I didn't think much to it. I watched it. Good fun, entertaining, whatever. Nothing great. I wasn't gonna come and talk about it today either, right?
Until
Till the last 3 minutes in the show, right? Black Canary is in her clock tower, which awfully looks like the Birds of Prey clock tower.
so not only
fucking awesome.
so not only do they use not only did they use, well, it's not just Birds of Prey. It's still Smallville, too.
Yeah.
Not only did they use Lex Luthor's mansion as Oliver Queen's mansion, they totally used the clock tower, which was in Smallville and also in Birds of Prey in this as well.
So that was cool. So I really dig the clock tower thing. But then a ninja shows up and goes, you need to come back.
Well,
all right.
It's not just a ninja. It's
come on, Toby.
Dark. It's the guy in the Dark Archer garb.
Yeah.
The John Barrowman.
Right.
Dark Archer garb.
Right. Merlin from season 1, the same looking outfit that he's wearing.
Because that's important.
Yes. Well, then he says Ra's al Ghul is ordering you to come back. And that just blew everybody's mind, I think, that cared. I mean, I was at Charlie's house, and I literally turned around to Charlie and go, did you fucking pee in your pants right now? And Charlie was just silent. He was just silent. And I was like, no, seriously, Charlie, did you just pee in your pants right now?
So I have to set this up a little bit here, because they didn't just end on it being like, oh, it's the master, Ra's al Ghul, and then just cut. No, they sort of just drop his name in the conversation, and I was like, did he just say Ra's al Ghul?
Yeah.
And then it sort of clicked, because it's like, this guy's wearing the same armor that Merlin was wearing.
Yes.
This guy's in the League of Assassins.
Merlin was trying to
Black
destroy
Canary's
the
in the
city.
League of Assassins.
Yes.
Merlin is part of Ra's al Ghul's army.
Yes.
Ra's al Ghul, Merlin was trying, as Brock said, trying to destroy half the city.
Yes.
Holy fucking shit, Ra's al Ghul was behind all of season 1 of Arrow.
Yes.
It's
not only that,
mind-blowing.
Not only that, it made me go back home and rewatch Batman Begins, hoping Joan Barrowman is in the movie, while Bruce Wayne is training under Ra's al Ghul, that he's one of the guys in the training sequence. That would have been cool.
Like, if they had done that, then they can include Nolan.
that would have been fly as hell.
Yeah, to me, just sort of, like I said, not even building up to it, just sort of dropping it, and then just watching everyone sort of make that connection.
Yes,
and they don't call out the suit at all.
Yes.
They don't call out the armor.
Yes.
They just sort of lay it out there,
Yes.
and if you don't know it, you don't. If you don't catch it, you don't catch
yes.
it. But
now, I was going to say all of that right after, but you just beat me to it.
But this,
yes. And I want to add something else.
This is how it's done.
I want to add something else. Black Canary actually got her canary cry back in the comic books in the Dixon run in number 34 and 35 by it being in the Lazarus Pit.
Call out.
Nice.
So there's a whole Ra's al Ghul connection there. So I was like, bloody
she's
heck.
been in the League of Assassins, right? I mean, she's been part of it. She's trained with them and stuff like that. I have no problem with Black Canary using the device instead of the Canary Cry.
I don't care.
She has used that in the comic books at points. People were like, wow, why does she have the Canary Cry? No, I have no problem with her using that device. That is comic accurate, so that doesn't bother me at all.
Sounds like I should watch this show.
Season 1's on Netflix.
Just Bryce, in what? 3 minutes? Not even 3 minutes? I mean, the scene is not that long.
No.
They drop way more information than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has.
But I mean, it was so well done, though. It was so well done. It was just like very smooth, very, like Ryan says, nonchalant. And it was like you piece all of it together, and you piece like Nolan's Batman movies in. I was like, what?
The thing that I loved about this just had to do with the fact that you weren't exactly questioning what happened in season 1. You weren't really questioning, like, they gave Merlin a real good reason for everything he was doing. There wasn't like, well, this doesn't make any sense. But the second they drop that and like the connections start forming and you start sort of seeing exactly the big picture, it's like, holy crap, I should have seen that coming, because it all makes sense.
Is retcon done right? Yes. Iron Man, keep this in mind.
So then we can put to rest Ryan's concerns about the Nolanverse being combined with the Arrowverse being combined with current DC continuity.
Well, who's to say if they wanted to stretch this?
No, but here's the beauty part of it. They're making it so that if you want to believe it, it totally makes sense.
Yep.
If they never touched the Nolan universe ever, you could still believe what you want to believe because it makes sense. Well, they don't have to mention Batman ever, but in your mind, you could put the two together and totally work. So it's really up to you.
Well, the thing is what Arrow did was it dropped Ra's al Ghul, however you want to say his name. It dropped him into the Arrow universe. Whether it's attached to Batman's Nolan, whether it's not attached, it's who he is at his core, right? Is dropped straight into Arrow, and it was, I mean, you're sitting there and the Arrow's fighting Dollhouse, right?
Oh, should mention that too. Dollmaker.
Sorry,
Dollhouse.
I know.
I was like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah,
He was pretty freaky though. I kind of liked him.
They dropped, Dollmaker.
He's completely
they dropped,
different though.
Metamorpho in this.
Yeah,
and they also dropped who else?
No, there's a few things when this happens.
Amazo, yeah.
I don't really like. I mean, I unless they're going anywhere. This is where the whole Daredevil, when they're Ninja Brubaker, Bendis, all that stuff. I don't want it to take away from the show. Like, I saw the 52 on the door when they go through the hotel. I'm like, that's cool. That's kind of cute. But then when I saw that they're doing the Channel 52, I'm like,
they've done Channel 52 before.
Okay, good.
Well, let's kind of back up here for a second.
Yeah.
So, what Toby's talking about, and we mentioned this before, and it's a personal kind of pet peeve of mine, is when they needlessly drop names of comic book creators or characters or things from the comics into a show as sort of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, like we're cool like you are.
Do you get it? And this episode kind of had a bit too much of that. So now they can get away with it because they name drop Metamorpho. There's like Metamorpho chemicals, which if they want to use that as a character and introduce Metamorpho, because Metamorpho gets his powers kind of from this whole chemical thing. Again, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Even though it's called Metamorpho, I forget what the company's called.
I was actually kind of okay with that.
Yeah. There's a big, it's Stag Industries. Yeah. That's his sort of big villain. There's a ship that for some reason, this big barge at the end of the episode is named Amazo.
That one kind of bothered me a little bit.
It just seems kind of pointless. Like, what's the point?
Unless it is like something to do with him, but then it's bloody hell good.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we won't know, but it seems to kind of drop it. And then I know they named Dollmaker, his name in the, or I'm sorry, Dollmaker's lawyer was named Tony Daniel, who's the artist on Detective Comics who created Dollmaker. So to me, it's like,
really? Yeah. I mean, there's different variation. He existed like way back.
Well, this is the new. This is the new 52.
Okay, because there's a couple of versions before that.
Right, the current version of them.
Okay.
So to me, it's like, that can be cool sometimes, but it really depends on how they do it. I think they did it a little bit too much, and like Toby said, the Channel 52, it was apartment number 52.
Yeah. One too many. I mean, it was cool, whatever. I mean, I like it when it's like not in your face. So, I mean, the door 52, I'm like, I caught it. Okay, cool, whatever. Right. But when they're starting doing too much of it, that's when it starts. At least
it wasn't Channel 52 like in the back of the comics right now, because
that's probably why they did it.
It's rough.
Unless, I mean, I don't really think it was Channel 52 before, but I could be totally wrong.
I don't think it was either.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that prior.
I think I remember it in an early episode. It was, I paid attention, but I didn't pay attention.
Possible, yeah. I don't remember.
I mean, not a big deal, but...
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a point in the first season of Arrow where I was kind of like, okay, I'm like 3 or 4 episodes behind. I'll catch up. And it really has been like about halfway or 2/3 of the way through season 1, and now it's just like must watch Wednesday nights. Like, I don't like.
Well, I think what I really respect about the first episode of season 2 was even in the trailer for season 2, they had that Arrow, I need to change my name tease. Yeah. Normally the stuff in the trailer is kind of a throwaway, you don't care, but it still worked in the episode in the way they presented it, and I was like, they're doing it right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they did such a good job with it. So I'm really curious.
It's got a little cheese, but it's so good that you overlook it. Where it's like, look, it's having fun, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing about sort of the Ra's al Ghul drop, that bringing it back to that a little bit, is Ra's al Ghul carries some meaning in terms of being able to resurrect characters as well, which I like.
Right. I mean, no one's really died off.
Well,
Merlin
supposedly.
Merlin and the parents. And
if the Lazarus really exists, then they could bring Merlin back.
Yeah.
Well, they've already announced. They have not announced what they're going to do with John Barrowman. It could be flashbacks. It could be who knows what. But they have announced he's still going to be part of the show. So
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I get to listen doing flashbacks or something.
Now, here's the funny part. We're done with Arrow, I'm guessing? Yes.
Sure.
All right. So here's the funny part. That night, it blew my mind. I'm going on Twitter, everybody talking about Arrow. The next morning, go to work, and guess what's on the trailer is the Captain America trailer. And I was like, I can't work today. Between Arrow and watching the Captain America trailer over and over, I was like, dude, I'm really useless. I'm sorry, work.
How long is your work day? How long is this trailer?
This trailer is like 2.5 minutes.
I know people that have watched it hundreds of times already.
I'm one of those guys that will go frame by frame just to see everything.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So you saw Falcon.
So
yes.
What?
I think everybody did.
Captain America.
It's kind of hard to miss him.
Yeah, he's like presented.
Yeah, how do you miss Falcon in the trailer?
I'm not going to watch the trailer.
How do you miss Falcon, though?
Hold on.
Who missed Falcon?
So Bryce is not a trailer guy, which I can totally respect.
I respect that, too.
I somehow watched the trailer, and I must have looked down when Falcon was on the screen or something like that. Or maybe he wasn't in like the UK version that I saw because I did
he was.
see
No, he was
Falcon.
there.
I saw the UK version. I saw him.
I clearly must have just like coughed and looked away and then looked back and he
It
was
is
off
like
the
a little
screen.
flash, but it's like a second long. Where
Yeah.
if you do look down and look up, you would miss it.
It's very so. I'm gonna go back and rewatch it so I can
Ryan
see
is scared
Falcon.
of the Kendians. He's
Yeah.
like,
I love Falcon. Falcon's great. So I'm really curious to see what they do with Falcon. Now, I do have one complaint with the trailer, and it's not the trailer's complaint. It's I don't like the costume they're using.
oh, you son of
But
a
I get
bitch.
it. I get it. They're going away from the red, white, and blue Star-Spangled American trailer costume because I know they needed to play in other countries. I don't like the costume they picked, though. It's the
Heroic Age.
It's a heroic age, like super soldier costume, and
You're like Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
Yeah.
Steve Rogers guy.
it's just I don't.
They use both, though. I think he's in his normal Captain America outfit in the movie. Also, during some,
I hope.
During
I hope.
some parts in the trailer, I think I saw him in the red, white, and blue.
I actually have something to say about that. There's two things, nothing to do with the story or, the blockbuster that is Avengers. There's two things I don't like about Avengers visually.
I know one of them.
One is Black Widow was not as hot in my mind because of her funky hair.
Hair's straight now.
Yeah. Bloody hell, hot
fuck?
again. I was
Yeah.
like, right from Iron Man 2. Well, it's different, but I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit, thank you very much, Marvel.
Longer,
That's
yeah.
very minor, but, I like that they did that. Number two was in Avengers, I felt like, and I said this before, I feel like Captain America looked like a dildo man walking around with that weird ball cap,
Yeah.
A Dildaman, yes.
Yeah, dildo man. So, I felt like he looked really silly when he's yelling at people and, he looks funny. He didn't look scary. And I feel like he looks scary again when he has that suit on. So,
I've never thought of Captain America as looking scary.
well, he
Or like
looks
a
scary
dildo
now.
man.
Well, when he is a dildo man, he's rather scary in a different way altogether. But
Those Dildamans.
Those Dildamans,
yeah,
I'll tell you.
but no. In all honesty,
Maybe the term you're looking for is imposing, maybe?
well, I don't think he was imposing at all as the smaller Captain America. But
Maybe
I'm really
intimidating.
enjoying this
Yeah,
bigger
intimidating.
Captain America back. Like he looks bigger. The skin tight suit didn't work for me. Like next to a Hulk and big armored Thor and Iron Man being in armor and even Black Widow had some padding. Captain America in that skinny suit didn't work for me, especially after Captain America in the movie, he had a bigger suit and there already. So I'm welcoming this look back.
Well, I think that I think that going for the look that they're going for, they're kind of trying to find that middle ground, like you said. Where,
Yes.
in Avengers, he kind of didn't. You couldn't really take him seriously.
I know it's accurate. I mean, don't find me on this.
yeah.
I mean, not you. I mean, not just everybody that's going to hate me now. I'm talking to them.
Ultimate's Hitch,
Yeah.
helmet stuff.
Totally.
And it works for movies more than the
You were
old
talking
school
about more
classic
the
Captain
coloring
America.
of it.
Yes.
like the tones. They were
Yeah,
a
the
little
tones
too bright.
were.
They didn't have-
It looked too real. More, it ended up looking more like a Halloween costume.
Yeah, I
than
mean,
an actual.
I
piece of
fully
armor and
understand
uniform.
that he was accurate in Avengers as much as they could, and that this is going away from it. I totally understand it, but I think it works better for the movies.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think S.H.I.E.L.D. can really keep those helicarriers in the air.
Yeah, I don't know. In the trailer, there's just another one crashing.
It's like
Yeah,
Crash another helicarrier.
crash another helicarrier.
maybe they'll realize that
Maybe
this one,
more
like,
than
fuck.
one.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's actually one falls into the whole fleet and they all blow up.
And I think the best part of the trailer was Robert Redford, though. It seemed like
Robert
he...
Redford's in it too?
Yeah,
Robert Redford
totally.
is
Dude,
just-
it
I am
seems like
stoked.
he's straight out of Spy Games.
Yeah,
which
no,
just like
it's true.
solidifies Captain
Well,
America
if-
Winter Soldier
if-
so much more.
If you like spy games, you need to watch Lions Over Lambs.
Okay.
Like he's awesome in that.
Okay.
movie.
I
That's
love.
an amazing movie.
I'm all for Robert Redford, and I think he solidifies and makes this so much more legit than it was before.
What do you think though of the Winter Soldier's getup? Because obviously,
So,
in the books, he has like the old school like.
I don't mind the ninja mask. Well, I feel he looks a
Looks kind
little
of like GI Joe.
He looks a little. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. What
But
I
he has that in the comics briefly.
No, he-
No, but he has like the old school
yeah.
Bucky like eye things over. But
I thought
obviously
he had
on.
I thought like in
Charlie?
his first couple issues he had
Encyclopedia Charlie.
Absolutely not.
No?
I've reread the run.
Charlie's
a couple
thinking.
months ago, and that's definitely not.
Well, I think they did obscure his face a little bit in some of the early
I think like
stuff.
Yeah.
really early, like first
no,
couple
but I feel like
appearances.
it's like a shade. It's like a little darker. They don't like show who it is really. But I
Now,
don't think he ever wears a mask.
The
or
big
face
problem I
mask.
personally had, and again, it's very minor. It has nothing to do with the story. If the movie's going to come on, it's going to blow my mind. I'm not even going to think about this twice. I don't like his shiny arm. I wish it was more brushed metal. As a guy that, I don't know if that's the story to go that the Russians got and rebuilt. I feel he should be a little more incognito. His shiny arm is so shiny that you don't blind people
and
with
a little dusty dirt on it, old rust.
This is where my problems with the early Marvel movies came in again. I always said I felt they were too clean. Like, I felt Thor as a warrior was too clean. He was always shiny, and it always bothered me.
It's the Star Wars thing where you go from the old, the 3 original films to the 3.
Everything
is
just perfect.
Clean.
Yeah,
it's a very personal thing that I look for, and I felt like or age it a little bit, but that's just me. I mean, if the movie's going to awesome, I'm not even.
Maybe in the movie it shows him getting built, and he gets a nice fresh arm on.
Yeah, so whatever. I mean, and I don't want to nitpick on this before the movie even comes out either. It's just this is personally what I'm like. Hey, visually I would have done different, but hey, whatever. It's all good.
Well, we have Thor coming up in like 2 weeks. I think
next week,
Friday.
Yeah,
yeah. So very excited. Very excited. So we'll definitely have at least half an episode talking about that. I don't know if we'll bust the whole episode.
It's going to be a 2-hour-long episode.
Oh, God. We're going to have a 2-hour-long episode this week if we don't start wrapping this stuff up here. So we have to talk about Tale of Sand, which is Toby's book club pick of the month. I'm sorry.
All right, everybody light their doobie at this point.
So, Toby, why don't you give us all a little background on this, and then we'll go around the table, starting with Charlie, and we'll all kind of give our 2 cents.
All right. Well, before Jim Henson became the mighty Jim Henson that he is today, he dabbled in some film work, and he did a couple of experimental films. One was a Timepiece.
I just watched that today. He won the Academy Award for a short film.
Yeah, did he win an Academy Award?
He won an Oscar for that.
It's actually even
it's awesome.
He's in it.
He's the main guy. It's really cool.
You can totally tell when he's like, "Help!"
I know. Yeah, it sounds like Kermit
the Frog.
Totally.
So that was cool. And I think the other one is called The Cube. Now I
don't know. I just saw the Time one.
At this point. Yeah.
I think I linked both of them on the.
You did, yeah, I'm sure you did. Which is where a guy is stuck in a cube room and weird things happen. So it's experimental film, meaning I guess is what you take out of it is what you get out of it. The book is based on a script that he wanted to do and they never did. I mean, they went to do Muppets. One of the co-writers, became one of the head writers for the Muppets for many seasons and so on. So this is like a lost piece that never got done. And maybe they never wanted to do it. I don't really know, actually. Bryce read the forward just right now. So, but they Arcania has been doing all these Jim Henson stuff. So they got the script and decided to do a book on it. And they got Ramon Perez to do the art. And I heard of this book. I never picked it up. And me and Charlie and the Infinite Longbox crew were at ECCCCCCC. And Ramon Perez was there, and I was like, I'm really digging that dude's art. And I'm sorry, I just dissed you a little bit earlier ago on Uncanny X-Force. I don't know that was you. It's a little different. I'm sorry. But anyways, I like walked by his table and like I really dug his art. And then I think Jess or I think even you, Charlie, were like, oh, you gotta check out Tales of Sand. I'm like, it's a Jim Henson book. Fuck yeah, I gotta go get it. And then I went to Ramon. He even drew me a little cool piece inside. I was really excited. So for many months, I had this book, and then I only flipped through it and never read it. So I really wanted to pick this book mainly that I would read it. And then I finally read it, then I got a little scared. Because that's why when I think that was the burrito episode where Ryan decided to announce this book, and I really did want to use this book because I feel the book club pick should be something that you don't necessarily like. I don't want to pick a Batman book or something that people probably read anyways.
Part 2 of a 3-part X-Men crossover.
No, I mean,
the most famous Superman story that's been written.
No, actually, no. I mean, I knew Bryce was going to do that, and I really appreciate it because it made me catch up. No, it did. It made me catch up on a lot of the X-Men.
You're welcome, Tobias.
And I really liked it. In fact, I'm really annoyed that I don't have those hardcovers right now. And Charlie knows because I've been hunting down some of these hardcovers at this point.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Go bind them.
Excellent. I will. But I was very, very... No, I will. Not X-Men, but I will. But I was very scared of bringing this book out because it's very different. The way I look at it, I think it's a total art piece, and the reason why I connected with this book quite a bit was this is after the mighty Grant Morrison was explaining or telling us the stories of his psychedelic journeys, and I totally resonated with that. And then I checked this book out, and I'm like, dude, this is like one of my weird dreams. And just for all the listeners out there, I don't do any drugs at all. I do the whole no sleeping for 3 days, and then I see weird things happening, or I get really, really, really bizarre dreams. And I actually, in fact, I try and write them down. So I'm like half asleep, and I have this notebook next to my bed, and I try to write things down. And in the morning, I read it, and it doesn't make any sense. It's like Saturday morning cartoon thief, and it's something like the reason why Saturday morning cartoons no longer exist because there's this thief that came and took it out of the streams of the TV. I mean, this is kind of my weird dreams at night. You know, this is the stuff I think of. Or, you know, when I drive on the 5 coming back from LA and I haven't slept in like 48 hours, the taillights turn into butterflies and fly away.
Just tweet everyone when you're doing that so they can stay away from the.
Well, no, at that point I would crash the car probably. But anyways, so, and then listening to Grant Morrison doing his no sleeping way of writing, I'm like, fuck, dude. Okay, maybe I'm not so weird after all. And then I read this bloody book. I'm like, this is just like one of my weird fucking dreams. So all of it kind of came together. And then that week it was Jim Henson's birthday too. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should pick this book. And it's something that is different. And it's something that probably non-readers or, people that probably wouldn't pick this should check out at least. I was a little scared, hence why the episode after I came back, I'm going to listen. You should probably check out this book first as opposed to buying it because you may not like me afterwards. So hopefully you still like me all or don't. It's okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I really dug this book, and the art is just phenomenal. I thought it really took you in. It took you on this weird journey. And I feel like it's when you dream, you got these weird things. Like you have a quest almost, and I feel like different people see different things. Anoni did a really cool analogy of what he thinks of it is, and I actually really like his piece. I didn't think of it that way, but I feel like when I dream, I have a mission, and there's something that always holds me away from this mission. I think of this one. He's like trying to light his cigarette, and something always comes in between that stuff, right? So I just totally dug it, and the art took me into that dream state. So I'm like, dude, it did its job. I mean, when I read it and finished it, I was kind of like, what the fuck? And which most of you guys probably did too. And then I called Charlie, and he goes, well, I just look at it as a weird story in a desert, right? That's the way you put it out, or how'd you word it?
Well, real quick, Charlie, before you start, just 1 second. We did have a few people that gave us some reviews on the forums, and we're going to read them next week just because we're going to be running way too late tonight. Right. But we'll definitely, I know a couple of the guys left them there, and if you read this and you want to leave us a review, go on the Geekbox forum.
So we're going to do
Facebook.
A 2-part thing again?
Well, we'll talk. We'll read those, and if we get any emails about it, we'll read those next week as well. But Charlie, go ahead.
Okay, so Tale of Sand is okay. The best way I can put it when it comes to Tale of Sand and having it in your collection is it's one of those books that's very standalone. It's not necessarily like any other book you have on your bookshelf, and that's its strength. It's not trying to tell the same kind of story everyone else is. It's a very short story. It doesn't take long to read. It's very sort of
10 to 15 minutes.
You can sit there and overanalyze it, or you can just enjoy it for what it is. And I tend to read something like this and just sort of enjoy it for what it is. And I don't want to say beautiful because it's not really a beautiful story.
The art is very, very good, though. The colors are sweet.
The art piece and everything that this book sort of brings to you is not the kind of reading experience you're going to get from, I would say, any other comic book out there. Like there's a lot of times when you talk to somebody, there's like, I really like this. What else should I check out? And if somebody said that on this book,
I actually do have.
I would do like Day Tripper.
No, I actually. Well, it's
think of.
It's not as crazy, but I think Gone is fairly close to this. Gone, the little dinosaur that goes on adventure and there's just no words. I think it's very similar because it's very minimal words in this book, and I think that the style of it's very similar.
But it's very much just. So there's certain movies over the years that I've gravitated towards just based on the wow, that was a lot of fun. Like Run Lola Run. Run Lola Run's a phenomenally good movie when you sort of take out a lot of what they're doing here is just for the sake of sort of artistic value, and it doesn't necessarily all have to sort of fit into a standard storytelling format. And to me, that's what this book is. It's almost like throw any idea that you can come up with on the page and run with it.
And major props to like Ramon Perez, though. I mean, the guy he's pretty much the main dude. He's the artist because all the words are off the screenplay. So that must
he's basically directing the story.
It's the whole thing, which is really cool for him. And going through it, this is kind of like his first thing because I've never heard of him before I saw this. So what a big project.
Well, you're the one that told me he did like some of the Wolverine and X-Men issues, which threw me off.
Yeah, I know.
I was like,
they're pretty cool, yeah. And he's done he did work on like some Disney, like it was like one of the John Carter comics they did after the movie came out. But other than that, he's been kind of low key. Seems like he's been like a fill-in guy for Marvel when they need an extra artist.
But I gotta say though, I mean, looking at this and that, I mean, that's phenomenal.
Well, the colorist is different.
But even the style and the way he draws the faces, I feel it's a little different.
Well, it's also he probably had a lot
of time doing that.
An issue of Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah,
I
agree. But I feel this is an art piece. Like,
totally.
It's an art piece.
It's like his master's thesis.
It's not necessarily like a story. It's like an art piece. Yeah,
totally.
As a whole.
And the packaging of the books too. The nice hardcover though. It's nice. It's pretty quality. It looks like.
So yes. I made the mistake of this book of reading it before reading the foreword, and I read it and I was like, "What?
What's Toby smoking these days?"
It's not that. Really I was good. Like, I got it, but I was like, it doesn't make sense. It's not really supposed to make sense.
Yeah.
And then reading the foreword, I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. So this very much is sort of a stream of consciousness, just not weird to be weird's sake, but this is not supposed to be a linear story. Yeah. This is like the Cube, I think you said it was.
Mm-hmm.
They talk in the foreword about how it was just a guy stuck in a cube and just people come in and out and he can't get out and they just have conversations with him. And it's sort of like he took a dream, he took sort of his thought process and he wanted to sort of find an artistic way to express the loneliness and the sort of what he felt. And this is sort of another take on that where he just wanted to, where Jim Henson was like, hey, I want to express my own personal feelings,
yes,
whatever they may happen to be, through in this case, a film medium of this guy sort of lost in this desert.
Yes.
Would have been a trippy-ass movie.
Crazy.
It would have been.
I mean, it
would have been a short movie, probably.
It feels almost like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like this very cartoony stuff. It switches constantly where there's no linear nature to it. He's constantly going from one strange event to another, all sort of just while walking in this desert.
Yeah, but it's so smoothly done, though.
But it is.
And the layouts are awesome too.
Yeah, it's just when you go through it, you're like seeing it. It's more than anything else in other books.
Before Bryce read it, I told him make sure.
Took me a whole weekend.
He's really Jim Henson. Make sure you read the intro, and I hope that made a little more sense if you read that first, because to me, like having the mindset in your head of what you're reading before you read it does really change how it's perceived. But it's cool. It's a very interesting book, and art's again. I'll echo everyone. The art's amazing. The art's beautiful.
I like how they incorporate like the script though in certain pages, like in the background. That's pretty cool.
I mean, it is a whole where the dream state comes in again. Like, this could be something that Jim Henson was, working on, and then he was falling asleep, going in and out of sleep, and things becoming reality, started breaking walls in and out. I really like the old dude that won't shut up.
Well,
he just keeps talking, and the way they did it was really well done.
What's interesting is the text is completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like a dream, the things they're saying are mostly gibberish.
Yes.
There's no real point to anything, so you can almost completely read it without actually reading the text. Brock, I think you were bitching about the old guy, and I was like, but you're not supposed to read it. It's supposed to be this background.
I read as much as I wanted to read. Like when I got to the old guy, I was like, oh, it's just him talking. I don't need to pay attention.
But the way it's done, though, that you're actually, it's like a movie where he keeps on talking and you kind of start fading away from it, even though he's still talking in the background. You kind of like, whatever, I'm not listening anymore. This is done on a comic book page, and it explains that feeling so well. I thought that was fantastically done.
Yeah, no, I mean, I took a read through it. It took me about 10, 15 minutes. I didn't read the foreword. I didn't read the introduction. I liked it. Artistically, it was amazing. The story, I think you could read this multiple times and get different things out of it each time. It's kind of a story of just trying to get that little thing that you want. Because he goes through the whole thing, and he just wants to, and it seems like he's just trying to light that next cigarette. He's just trying to get to the next little thing, and he's got this map that he can't trust, right? So it's kind of like a view of how you go through life, is that they give you this map, the guidance, but you can't really follow what they say. Beautifully done. I mean, a lot of the pages, utilize different things like the text in the background of the bar fight scene and a lot of what's going on. outhouse that pops out of the middle of nowhere and then goes down. But definitely, I mean, it's definitely a trip.
Yes.
So,
and it's very affordable.
Yeah. Brycey?
Did you read it? Do you want to go ahead?
No, it's all you. You're up.
He's dropping the hammer now. I can feel it.
So,
he's rolling up non-existent sleeves.
I'm sweating. I'm sweating now.
I didn't read this until I got here today. I didn't think I'd be able to make it tonight, and so I thought I'd have another week. But basically, I didn't read it. Ryan said a couple weeks ago, look, you just need to set aside 15, 20 minutes sometime. Just get to the podcast early when you're going to come and review it so that you can read it. It doesn't take a long time. I was sort of like, okay, hippie Tobias with your hippie, what's the Johnny Depp fucking Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas drug state book that you have.
Or Lack of Sleep State?
Lack of sleep. I think that may have been more drugs than lack of sleep, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say, I'm sorry, is that I was very skeptical about this book going into it. I was like, look, I'm sure that I'll like it. Jim Henson, he's very famous. I'm sure that it's very good. I did not know that Ramon Perez did it, and I didn't realize how much, I like his art. But holy fuck, when I read it, I would just like to say to the people that haven't read it that are also skeptical because it's not, an Image book or a Marvel book or a DC book or, a Valiant or whatever, like, just because it's, Jim Henson and it's not really, from a publisher that necessarily as a skeptic going into the book, I would highly recommend finding it at the library at the very least. I don't know if it's worth buying because, I've read it once and I really, really liked it. Almost in spite of myself, I didn't think that I would because I'm not a big fan of the whole hippie, beatnik. I do lots of drugs and therefore my screenplays or scripts are just so crazy. I'm not a big fan of that whole thing. And I know that there's a lot of art there and some people just love that. And that's just not my personal thing. Mm-hmm. But this is really fucking good, and there's a lot of, like you said, the whole dream of that dream when you're trying to run away and you can't, they keep catching up to you and you keep trying to get away. I felt like that was sort of like this book. That was what he was going through. The art is, like everybody's already said, the art is so amazing. The story, like they also said, you don't need to read any of it to sort of know what's going on. Mm-hmm. You can read it in like 20 minutes. I think it would make a great movie, probably a better cartoon than a real movie, but a non-animated movie.
I think it's a great storyboard. Like, I think when Jim Henson had this idea, the technology wasn't there to make this movie because you could do this in live action, but I think it needs. It's a CG movie at this point. It's not a cartoon and it's not live action.
It would have been cool to see, like, attempted though in the 70s with all, like, the sets and the prop pieces. It would have looked pretty crazy, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think it's definitely a great kind of storyboard for a film. And if they decided to do one, this is great to go off of.
Have him team up with, was it Terry Gilliam?
Actually, I could see Terry Gilliam doing this.
Yeah, me too.
Easily. All kinds of random shit is happening.
It's a good coffee table book, though. I feel like just a coffee table for someone to flip through. I think it's perfect. It's great. It's really nice on the eyes, and it's cool. You don't have to read too much. You just look at it.
I was definitely scared when I recommended this book, and I appreciated that.
Yeah,
that you dug it. I actually thought you were going to go completely else with this.
Right, so did I, actually. I was anticipating not liking this book at all. So for all the skeptics out there that haven't read it, I actually do, coming from a skeptic's perception, I do recommend trying to find some way to read it, even if you don't want to pay for it.
Library probably has it,
because it is fucking beautiful, and you can do it quickly, and it's
different. I mean, that's what I like.
If you think about how many crappy X-Men books you read per week, you just think about each one of those books takes longer to read than this whole thing, and this is so much a better payoff. If you read a single issue of X-Men Legacy, you owe it to yourself.
Bryce's eyes have been opened. He's going to be like hanging on the indie section all next week.
Yeah, right.
Just wait until next time I recommend a manga and open a whole new world up to you, or a European comic.
I'm not a hater of the indie stuff. I'm not a hater of the manga. I just, I have my things that I like. But
that's cool.
Anyway, yes, it was surprisingly good. I wouldn't say that it has a lot of reread value for me because Yeah, I read it. It was
Hence
really...
why I was really scared to recommend to people. I don't want people to spend their $20-$30 and then come and go, what happened?
You kind of have,
Yeah.
You gotta have
I don't know, but for the art, though, it's almost worth just to have, though.
Well,
It's
if an
pretty-
art guy.
Yeah,
yes,
totally.
Totally.
Yeah.
But if you're a story guy.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I feel that.
I'd be like, don't hate me. Don't kill me. I don't know
We got to give our
difference.
Tobies.
How many? All right,
How many Tobys?
Go for it. Does Toby go first or
No,
last?
I'm
I
last.
forget.
Toby
Okay,
goes last.
Charlie.
Out of how many?
10.
Out of 10.
10.
Come on.
Okay, I will go ahead and give this book 8 Tobys.
Wait a minute. Did Ryan do his review?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm right there at 8. It's just it's too experimental for me to be like, this is a great story and art, but the art and the idea of it is so good. But so I'm right there at 8.
Yeah, I'd probably have to say like 7.5 for me.
I'll throw 8.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm exactly 7.5 to 8, somewhere in there. I mean, it was all amazing. The lack of, I guess, rereadability of it, but it was so beautiful and well done. Surprisingly so. Yeah, 7.5, 8.
I'm actually at an 8 also myself. The reason why
almost unanimous here. Yeah.
No, but the reason why is and I think one of the guys is Josh. Josh said he would 8 out of 10 for art, and because of the story or the lack of resolution, he put it down to a 6. I think. I feel like if there was a clear holy shit and everything makes sense in the end, it would have been a 10 out of 10 book for me easily. That it's open to some people might make it a 10 out of 10. To me, that's how it became an 8, but I dig it this way actually. So
yeah, I was sort of expecting a resolution, but then I was also kind of expecting it to not have one at the same point. I kind of wanted it, but it didn't have one, so I was like,
I personally wanted it a little bit. I really did, and I was looking for it. Yeah, but I mean, and I think it's really up to you to how you see it too. Yeah.
Well, I think that somebody brought up Day Tripper. Day Tripper has kind of this experimental feel through it, and it has the story. So this is kind of, it has the art.
Yeah,
but the story is not completely there.
Well, I think, I mean, the art is so much, like even the musicians with the notes going around. I mean, it's stuff I see in Lack of Sleep States, and this is, I'm seeing someone artistically, putting pen and paper down on page, and it's exactly how I feel. It's the feeling that makes, it's when you read a book and you get certain feeling. Going through this book and hitting these certain beats is very movie-like, and it was phenomenal, I thought.
I did light a cigarette after reading it. I was like, he can't have one, but he can.
So next month, we have Charlie's pick, which he will now tell us about.
Okay, so for my Book of the Month club, I actually chose Makeshift Miracle, since it has a nice little hardcover that came out not too long ago from Udon. It's written by the great Jim Zub, which I'm a big fan of his writing. And what I found unique and interesting about this one is, so Makeshift Miracle was a webcomic he actually did back in 2003, 2001, something like that, early 2000. And he did it all himself with art and everything. And that was like his first foray into doing any kind of comic work. And since then, he's been working with Udon quite a bit, and with Image with Skull Kickers, and he's done some Batman digital for DC. And Udon kind of came to him and said, we have this really good watercolor artist we want to do something with. And as he kept having talks with them, like the guy at Udon kept saying, we want to do a story sort of like you did with Makeshift Miracle. And it kind of kept coming back to Makeshift Miracle. So he's like, well, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of what I did with Makeshift Miracle. Do you want to just do that? So it's basically Jim Zub going back to a script and a story that he's already told when he first got started doing this kind of stuff, and being able to fine-tune it a little bit and turn it into this amazing artist that they're working with out of Japan, who does this really nice watercolor art.
He's pulling a Kirkman with Walking Dead.
And he said in episode 100 of the Infinite Long Box was when Charlie interviews Jim Zub.
Yes.
He says that he's a much better artist and writer than he was 10 years ago. So this is just sort of the next step.
Yeah, so this, to me, is as close as you're going to get to, an HD remake as you get into, video games and other stuff, where you can literally go back and go, now that I know what I know now, I can actually make this a stronger story. I can make this a
And Charlie showed me some of the pages on the computer, and bloody hell, those images are beautiful, very beautiful.
That's one of the things that I actually feel very comfortable picking this book, because yes, you can order the hardcover that Udon put out. You can go buy it on Comixology and read it that way. Or you can actually just go to makeshiftmiracle.com, and they've been putting up the pages one at a time up there to read for free also. So it's really readily available for anybody who wants to read it however they want to read it.
That's like the coolest pick ever. It's like, either way, you can read it.
And all this information will be on the listing on conspiratorbrock.com.
Yeah. And do they have it on Comixology too, or it's just okay?
Oh, yeah, they have
so the regular digital version, the Comixology digital version as well. Yeah. Well, I know this sounds interesting. I'll look this up. I ordered a couple copies. May have to order a few more. Brandon, I know you wanted to do some random picks.
Yes,
I feel like you and Bryce have been a little quiet this week, so let's get some random picks from you two.
This guy represents the random pick.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's Bryce, you got a pick for us too.
I think Bryce
might be the same one.
Bryce goes first. I still got to think. I'm kind of going between two in my head, but I want to decide. So Bryce, you go first.
Okay, this is a no-brainer, and I'm terrible about on Twitter. I don't tweet my own stuff. I usually just troll Ryan. But I almost did my own tweet. Avengers issue 21, chapter 10 or 11, however you're going to read it, of Infinity is the best Avengers book that I think since issue number 1, which a lot of people hated. The best a chapter, quote unquote, of Infinity, I think, and the best standalone issue from the Avengers series that you can get. You have Intergalactic War. You have the Ex Nihilo Corps. You have Thor killing the Builder. Spoiler alert. Actually, he did that in Infinity 4, I think. But sort of the aftermath of that. You have the fucking Annihilation Wave, which shows up again. You have how the Builders get around that and how they deal with the Annihilation Wave. It all happens in one comic book. Fucking Captain Marvel is going crazy, performing miracles and just owning Builders.
Captain Universe.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And then the Alephs, they're like, oh yeah, you think you got us? We're gonna have these Alephs turn this into a not so good day for you. The best chapter in Infinity so far, for a story that I agree at first was very muddled. I enjoyed it the whole time, much more so than our gracious host. But this was by far, to me, I read this and I was like, holy fucking shit. They have intergalactic war across all these different planets and what's going on with all of them. If you haven't read it, I think it's worth picking up. I think that if you read it all at once, it makes much more sense. So go get Avengers issue 21.
Cool.
All right,
Brandon, I'm gonna let you have both of them.
Oh, what? All right,
because
that's
I
fine.
had Hell Sand. You had two you were picking.
All right,
take mine. Make it both yours. There you go.
I kind of got two. Maybe it's like a little bit of three. I'm gonna go Vertigo. I'm going Vertigo because Vertigo's,
excellent.
We got a big week coming up with Sandman coming up and some Vertigo stuff. And Vertigo's been on the back burner for a while, but it's slowly making a comeback. So I'm going to throw out The Wake with Sean Snyder and Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy. Yeah. Sean Snyder, Jesus. Okay, anyway, Scott Snyder, Sean Murphy. Yeah, exactly. It's a hybrid. Sean Snyder.
It's a Sean Murphy book.
That book is fucking awesome. Kind of on the horror / thriller side of things. The art is cool. It's all about just these straight monsters from the ocean, and it mixes in folklore and stuff like that. But they're also stuck underneath this crazy drill in Antarctica. It's awesome. Really suspenseful stuff.
The story's coming together really.
The story's coming together. I think it's a 10-issue series. It's definitely going to make a nice hardcover trade when they put it all together.
Now you know it's good when Charlie is excited and smiling and talking in too.
The Wake rules. Also, I'm going to throw in Trillium, that Jeff Lemire does, which is awesome. The first issue alone, you get 2 issues in one. It's like a double-sided story. I don't know if you guys have been talking about that.
You got Charlie really riled up right now. This is good. I like this. Keep going.
Yes. So Trillium is awesome. Yeah, like I said, Jeff Lemire does Sweet Tooth. I think he did the art in that book too. So it's kind of his second outing in Vertigo world. Is awesome. The first 2 issues maybe are out. The first issue is so cool. It's like a double-sided adventure story from each point of view.
3.
Might be 3. I'll have to look at that. I definitely need to read the third issue.
William has 4 out there.
4.
Oh, wow. Well, I need to buy the next 2. And then I'm going to throw in the mix also, I just read it, it's also Sean Murphy, not Sean Snyder, Scott Snyder. Punk Rock Jesus was a pretty cool little mini-series that they did, I liked. It was in black and white, which is kind of interesting, but it's a cool story about this like genetically like altered Jesus rebirth guy that becomes like a crazy like punk rock star and like wants to take over the world, and he goes like Jerusalem and plays crazy shows in this like apocalyptic future. It's insane.
So after Tale of Sand, you should go over to Punk Rock Jesus.
No, it's a little more streamlined than Tale of Sand, but Punk Rock Jesus is really cool. It's like a reality show about the birth of Jesus who doesn't I don't know, it's crazy. It's awesome. And it's in black and white, though, and Sean Murphy, he's kind of a sketchier artist. His artist is very pencil. It's like a lot of pencils, and in black and white, it's kind of hard to look at, a lot of stuff to look at, but if you like that kind of stuff, it's really, really cool. There's a nice trade that has the whole story. It's like all 5 or 6 issues, and it's definitely worth a look, I feel like. So Vertigo all the way this week from me.
Excellent. Good to hear.
Charlie, what you get there?
So after arguing with Brock a little bit, I've decided I'm going to have 2 too. Damn it.
Yes, everyone gets 2 when I'm here.
I'm giving them all away. It's all me.
You get a random pick of the week, and you get a random pick of the week.
So first one I wanted to talk about is Velvet, because it was fucking awesome.
I need to read that so bad.
I know, I'm very intrigued.
This book. It got it.
This is the Captain America Dream Team, by the way.
Yeah, it's the Winter Soldier
Yeah.
Dream Team for sure.
Like the way this book is laid out, it's very in Brubaker's wheelhouse with the whole super spies and sort of his it literally reads like a Bond story starring Moneypenny in a lot of ways, which was kind of cool. No, I really, really enjoyed this book. It was amazing. So anybody who hasn't checked out Velvet so far,
I'm gonna buy it tonight. Actually, I'm very, very intrigued.
Suggest
Yeah, I definitely need to pick
picking that up.
up.
And
Ryan, we only have 4 copies on the wall after tonight.
Cool.
Okay.
So, and then the other book that I have to give a shout out to is Samurai Jack, because I love Samurai Jack.
Oh, hell yeah.
The fact that it's back as a comic, I can't push enough, because I want it to do extremely well, so it will get fully moved to an ongoing. So go pick up Samurai Jack.
And the Wild Blue
That
Wonder is
interview
going to be
that-
out this week, too.
Yes. Well,
That interview that he gave you just got you all touting all his books.
Why not?
No. Now to be
good for
fair,
both of you.
not to be fair. Charlie's been on him for quite a bit now, for starting with
Sounded
Skull
so
Kickers, and quite a few good, very good books.
Not to mention, even before I've read anything by him, I was already a big Samurai Jack fan.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I'll hit Vertigo once, and then my other one will hit something else. Hinterkind, which came out earlier this month.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, like 3 weeks, I want to say.
Interesting beginning. I'm really curious to see where this goes.
What's the creative team? Who wrote it?
Oh, God, I don't remember.
It was
Ryan,
an
dude.
unknown, but it was really good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, Ian Eddington's done a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Okay, unknown to me. Correct.
Definitely something to check out. I enjoyed the first issue. I'm looking forward to reading the second. And a book that I think a lot of people need to be reading because it's awesome is All-Star Western. I don't know how they pulled Jonah Hex into present day and made it awesome.
Wasn't Booster Gold in that book for a little while?
For a minute, to pull Jonah
to
Hex
pull
into
Jonah
mono.
Hex.
Oh,
Hey.
God. That sounds crazy. I've heard it's great.
I was reading it and I was worried that Booster Gold was going to screw something up, and he did the best thing ever. And now, Jonah Hex is riding across the country on a Harley or on a hog bike or whatever.
What? I need to read this.
He's
What
with
the
some
hell?
chick named Gina Green. Like
What?
every girl he has to be with is a name and the color and the letters match.
That's so funny.
But it's awesome, and everyone needs to go back and get those early trades.
That's the only
it
Booster Gold
looks
appearance in
really
New 52 is in Jonah Hex.
No, he was.
Was he?
in the
Oh, you're right.
until he vanished in the annual and then reappeared.
Okay, you're
in
right. I forgot that book existed because it was only on the shelves for a couple months, right? It was only 6 issues maybe before they
and
canceled
it looks like he's
12.
basically going to be touring around the DCU because like the first story arc in Modern was in Gotham still, but I know they're in some of the solicitations have him in Metropolis next, I think.
for Hex.
Yeah.
So Booster Gold is still from the old 52, right? He survived the whole Pandora thing.
He was still new. 52
Okay, because they don't really talk about it.
I don't know that John's annual for Justice League kind of made it. You weren't sure.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really question that. seemed to be like he was there for a specific purpose and failed.
But yes, All-Star Western, pick it up. It's awesome by Jimmy Pimliotti and Justin Gray.
They've been doing Jonah Hex for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Long time.
I'm still hoping for
DC
an
rep,
omnibus.
tell them to put those Jonah Hex trades back into print.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Just do an omnibus.
Yeah, that too.
They had the one with the sweet, like, Frank Quitely cover, too, of Jonah Hex. It's so cool.
Well, I guess I read 2 books recently, so since everyone's taking 2 picks, I might as well have 2 picks of my own.
It's Christmas when I come around here, boys.
Since we don't do it as much anymore, we have to, like,
Next time I'm on, we're all doing 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I actually read some old school Marvel comics recently. Old school from the 90s Marvel comics recently.
Good old days.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm just getting ready for Avengers 3 preemptively, but I actually read the Silver Surfer Rebirth of Thanos trade paperback as well as Infinity Gauntlet a week or 2 ago. And I actually had never read the Rebirth of Thanos, which also collects the Thanos Quest miniseries, but this is when Thanos had been gone for a long time. Yeah. So everyone's read Infinity Gauntlet, but I don't think as many people as... Oh, you should read that. It's good.
I know.
I don't think as many people as have read this. This is actually the story of like Death coming back and bringing Thanos back to life, because he'd been dead for years prior to this. It really wasn't that big of a character prior to this. He had appeared in a few books and Captain Marvel and Avengers, but it was never like a huge villain. So the Silver Surfer actually has him coming back. There's a really terrible issue with Impossible Man in there. I don't know why they put that in there. But the Thanos quest is great because it's him going through getting all 6 of the gems.
Yeah, that's
ironically, I read that digitally again like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did you really? Nice, same time as I did. Because he actually goes through and collects all the gems and outwits all the great cosmic beings of Marvel Universe.
Wave Runner was one of them.
There's a bunch of them, to get the gems back. And it's a very different style for I'm blanking on the artist's name, but I'm totally blanking. Ron Lim, who also did half the art in Infinity Gauntlet after George Perez stopped drawing it, and then he was doing art on Silver Surfer for a long time too. But very different style for him in the Thanos quest. But Infinity Gauntlet, if you've read comics, you know what Infinity Gauntlet is. It's pretty good. It's funny because I've read Infinity Gauntlet a number of times, and I always accepted the storyline of Infinity Gauntlet, but I never read those Silver Surfer issues, so I never know how he quite got to that point. And I was like, okay, well, Death wants to kill half the universe, or he wants to kill half the universe for Death, but why? And this actually goes and explains why she wants this and all this evidence. You sort of see him slowly getting really pissed off and almost like hating her, even though he's doing all this stuff for Mistress Death. So it's great. It's a great book. A lot of fun.
They have a very interesting relationship.
Yeah. It does. They bring Nebula back and and then that leads off to Warlock and Infinity Watch and all sorts of great 90s trash. So, but those
binding fodder.
Oh,
the good old days.
Yeah, 100-part Infinity Gauntlet, all the crossovers. Well, Doctor Strange, Infinity Gauntlet was one of those where the crossovers all made sense. They weren't. They were sort of limited to a Silver Surfer, Doctor Strange, like the main characters.
Don't forget that for Infinity Gauntlet, the crossovers. Oh, I'm sorry. Was it Infinity War?
War was
where
like
they had
every
the
single
which were
book.
Half of like Amazing Spider-Man. Half of the crossover was in the Infinity Gauntlet or War.
I think it was War and Crusade were when the crossovers went crazy.
That's how bad that was.
I did. But
It
Gauntlet,
made you feel like you were in an abyss.
Gauntlet was a lot lower
That's
of a
your
crossover.
review of every Marvel book, bro.
No, the Infinity Abyss.
Yeah, Infinity Abyss was the fourth one.
The fourth one?
That's forget that one.
I didn't even know that existed.
What? Oh my!
That was like
goodness.
10 years later, though. That was way
You
later.
got Ryan talking
Abyss?
about sports, and this guy is schooling. Oh my god! Bryce is getting schooled on Marvel.
And I haven't even
By
read
Brock, this
Infinity
is
Gauntlet.
insane.
All right, well, we've gone way
Bizarro day today. I'm telling you.
It is Bizarro.
All right, outro time.
Yeah, we've got way longer than we should have. So let's wrap up here. Brandon, thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having
We'll have
me.
you on, hopefully not, a year from now.
Yeah.
Next semester.
Bryce, good to see you back here, as always. Everyone else, whatever. www.geekbox.net is where you can find this episode and all our other episodes, as well as the Geekbox podcast. Good job, Brian, and the Comedy Button, all. And if you go on the forums, you can go find the All Talk podcast as well, which is our community podcast. I usually save those for the end, but we'll start with those. We'll mix it up today. As well as comicsconspiracy.biz. You can go on there and find out stuff about the store and this podcast, including a link to our digital storefront, digital.comicsconspiracy.biz or comicsconspiracy.comicretailer.com. Either one of those will get you to our Comixology digital storefront where you can purchase
Makeshift
Miracle. Charlie's comic book, comic conspiracy comic pick for the month of November.
Unforgettable.
So yes, if you can't remember the name of it, contact me and not Ryan.
It's Miracle Day Man Makeshift.
Or you can go to conspiratorrock.com and read the little blurb about
things it does make in a day, and a Miracle Day, right? Is that what it's called, right? And Torchwood Miracle Day is your pick of the month. Okay, so that's your pick.
Torch a Miracle Day.
We're all on Twitter. Ryan Higgins, Ryan, Brock Sager. Brandon, you on Twitter?
I ain't on Twitter.
Yeah, okay. You're the cool one
No
here.
way.
Larsen Bryce is Bryce Larsen, where he makes fun of me replying to stuff from a week and a half ago.
I don't post anything. I need to start posting stuff because I really only troll Ryan. It's bad.
But it's very entertaining.
Yeah,
Toby XI is Toby. Insanity and Chaos is Charlie. Oh, and Omar, who should probably be back next week because he has some family in town. He is Comics and Decline. Mm-hmm. Comicsanddecline.com is also his blog. Conspiratorrock.com is Brock's blog. And do not forget about the Infinite Long Box that just celebrated 100 episodes with Jim Zub, special guest.
Toby.
Infinite Long Box.com.
Shittiest intro ever.
Doesn't matter. That's what exists here.
InfiniteLongBox.com. You can go on there and watch those or listen to those. I think that's it. Nothing else for this week. Thank you everyone for listening to our super.
We have something that you completely and utterly missed, but you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, it's fine. Our super extra long podcast this week. We'll be back next week. We'll read those Tale of Sand reviews. We'll have some other stuff to talk about next week as well. So we'll catch everyone in 7 short days.